What's going on, people? Welcome to Footy Fanatics episode 3. We are here with the best fans in the house, the experts, the pundits. We've managed to find a Liverpool fan and we've got him in. It's his debut, so we're going to introduce you to him in a minute and the rest of the guests. And we also have another debut coming on in around 15 minutes. He goes by the name of Sage. He's an Arsenal fan. In fact, he's already in the back end. I'm going to bring him in soon as well. But I just want to say thank you, first of all, to everyone that subscribed, that shared the links, that Instagram messaged us, followed us on Instagram, Twitter. Just want to say love to you guys. It's a new channel. Keep pushing it. Keep giving us that energy. Hopefully we'll be up to 100 subs soon. That is the target by the end of the month, to be up to 100 subs on YouTube. So keep letting everyone know, and we'll keep bringing that quality content for you and as many guests as possible. And like I keep saying every week, if you want to be on the show, just like Sage messaged me the other day on Instagram, please do message me. We'd love to get you on. Newcastle fans, Man City fans, where are you? We want to get you on. We found an LFC fan lurking. He was looking a bit lost, and we found him. We've got him in the studio, and we hope he's going to be with us, hopefully for the best part of 60 minutes now. So let's get into the guests. First and foremost, Rinks, how are you, sir? And welcome to the channel.
Yeah, I don't spoil Liverpool anymore.
Oh, you don't? Have you switched to UFC, or is that still LFC on there?
I'm good, Dad. I'm good.
Is it Leicester? Well, you know what? Respect you for coming on, mate. It must be difficult at the moment. Liverpool obviously getting battered pretty much week in, week out.
Don't rub it in.
The common denominator being 3, and we'll get into that. But now, Rinks, lovely to have you on, mate. Thanks a lot for coming on. We look forward to your wisdom. Look forward to you backing or really slagging off your club, man. Whichever way you want to go. I'm sure you've got some anger in the system. Let's move down the order into Hash, Arsenal fan. Very, very happy Arsenal / Tottenham fan.
Yeah. After that result today you guys got, it just put me all smiles again.
That's it, mate. I got your messages earlier. Well done to you, mate, for making it on the show from episode 1. You had a little break last week. Now, our resident Chelsea fan that's always here, representing with knowledge, the delivery, the facts, the stats. VJ, how you doing, boss?
Yeah, good, mate. Thought you were introducing someone else for a minute then. But yeah, good to be here. Great to see a Liverpool fan. What a surreal season, right? I mean, we got Tottenham fans, winning, and Arsenal fans cheering the win. It's amazing. So, yeah, look forward to this week.
It's a mad one, mate. It's a mad one. And Arsenal, coming with the L, City following up with the L. It's just been a mad weekend, man. One for the bookmakers. I imagine people, all the accumulators have pretty much flopped with those 2 upsets. And last but not least, Gorav, the Jeff Sterling of Man United fans, has every single bit of knowledge and stat and fact going all the way back to the Fergie years.
That's
always right. Here, representing on episode 3, Manchester United's finest. How are you doing, G?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I never thought I'd see the day when Arsenal and Spurs fans would be happy with the same result. But here we are.
That's very true. Yeah. That's very true. We'll see what happens in May. Now, I did say there was another debutant about to cross the white line and onto the pitch. And I'm going to bring him on now because I can't wait any longer. I just want to get him on and then we can get stuck into the results of the weekend. He is an Arsenal fan. We got talking on Instagram. Respect to you. If you ain't seen his post-match fan cam on Arsenal's loss to Everton, go to Instagram. I'll try and put it back up again today. But I'm going to bring him in now. Let's get Sage on. How are you doing, Sage?
Hello, everyone. You right? You okay? I'm all good, man. I'm a happy fan right now. You know what? Got to give it to Spurs. You lot held it up today. You held it up today. I love it.
100%, mate. Listen, we're an honest bunch, man. We don't do favors. We just go on and, do you know what I mean? We played for the badge, mate. I was proud of them. They could have slipped up. They could have given the title to City or half the title to City. Kane, everything was perfect today for Tottenham. We got the win. Kane's the highest top goal scorer. I never thought I'd see it in my life. And then to top it off, we got a clean sheet as well. The only thing we were missing was Conte. And Conte is missing a gallbladder as well because he had it removed. But apart from that, everything was good, guys. You know what I mean? Maybe Conte needs to hang out in Italy a lot longer. So what we're going to do, guys, in this show, we're going to go in order of the weekend's results. And we'll start with Chelsea and finish with Tottenham. I'm going to go through those results. I want to hear your expert opinions on which players are doing it for you, which players need to be dropped. What's the manager saying? Is he good enough? Is he getting it wrong? Let's talk about your owners if we have to. Was the transfer window as good as you expected? And then we're going to have a quiz. And then we're going to finish off with a team of the week. Now, anyone watching this, please do subscribe, hit the like, leave us a comment, and we'll look forward to bringing this quality content to you every week, every Sunday, 9 p.m. And I've got lots of stuff planned as well for midweek as well. So watch this space. So let's start with, sorry, someone, everyone good? So I thought I heard something.
Oh, good.
Right,
No.
lads, let's start with Chelsea Fulham. So this is how we're going to do it. VJ, we're going to let you kick us off with the Chelsea Fulham game, and then we're going to get everyone else's thoughts on the game, if you did get a chance to see it or not. But listen, VJ, tell us how that game went, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Talk us through the experience, mate.
Yeah, what a strange game, I have to admit. I mean, it was a Friday night game, so it's a bit strange playing on a Friday. But after spending 600 million, absolutely killing the transfer window, winding up everybody that's a non-Chelsea fan. You know, we expected to walk into that game, as you say, crossing that white line, and it should have been 10-0 in the first 5 minutes, right? I mean, that's what we expected as Chelsea fans, and we were pretty disappointed when that didn't happen. Yeah, it's a strange one, really. In some ways, you know, you sort of think, well, you know, you're going to spend so much money, it should click straight away. But it didn't. It didn't click for us at all. Actually, we were not very good. It was the same old Chelsea with a bunch of new players. And okay, it was a better result than we had against Fulham last time. It seems like a point gain now if you look at the weekend's fixtures. Yeah, I mean, that's sort of a very quick summary. Didn't go to plan. I'm hoping that when the players do gel, it will be a better performance. But the game itself was a big disappointment at the end of the day.
Yeah. What about everyone else, guys? What are everyone else's views on this Chelsea game, man? Did anyone get a chance to watch it?
BJ,
Yeah,
that
go on.
that team they put out, BJ, is that the team everyone was expecting? Because you got a squad of what, like 50 players now?
3 for each position.
Yeah, exactly. To be honest, you know, it's weird, isn't it? Because Ziyech shouldn't have even been playing, right? He should have been in Paris, right? So he was put straight into the squad. You know, you're kind of thinking, what's he doing there? I mean, one of the things when I saw the team sheet was, what's he doing on there? I mean, Mudryk did play, but he came on at half time. Apparently, he sneezed. He's got a cold or something, and he was taken off. You kind of wonder, well, why was he playing in the first place? Mason Mount ain't clicking. It ain't happening for him, right? At all. And there was just, I mean, Reece James. Okay, he's come back after injury. He's got to ramp up. So there was a few surprises in there. I mean, you know, if you talk about the back line, Thiago Silva is just a rock in there. He kind of picks himself. Badashili, he's been a great signing so far. And Fernandes, I thought he had a good game. I think all eyes were on him. Conor Gallagher just tries way too hard for me, and Kai Havertz, he just looks like he can't be bothered. And I would love to sort of see Havertz dropped and play Fofana. Instead, I would have liked to see him, although there's talk about him going on loan now for 1.5 years. I'm not sure that's the right thing to do at this particular stage, since we haven't really got an out-and-out number 9 anyway. So no, at the answer to the question, it isn't the team that I would have wanted to see, and I don't think it's the team that we'll see in the next few weeks. But I think it was a mismatch of trying to keep people happy and trying to introduce some of the new players, as you say. There's quite a few signs since last week.
Yeah, just look a bit haphazard, doesn't it? Like VJ, watch that game, right? And if you're Graham Potter, this guy's gone on a flight. He's gone to PSG. The deal's not been done. PSG said, "Don't ever darken our doorsteps again with your transfers." You got the world's most expensive midfielder sitting there, right? And quite frankly, the whole thing just feels like someone's pulled it together from a dartboard, right? Like, here's a Chelsea squad. Try and chuck as many darts as you can into it. And this is the team you've come up with. I mean, Mason Mount won't even sign a contract. So there's something fundamentally wrong, right, at Chelsea. So this is the bit where I think Potter's not good enough at this level. And, you know, there's already murmurings about him he's going to be gone. But yeah, you're right about Silva. He does pick himself, but he's a World Cup winner as well, you know. Enzo's a World Cup winner. Where you're lacking even with all the spending, is up front, and I think that was evident against Fulham. So I think the irony is swap Mitrovic for Havertz, you probably win that game 3-0.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what Chelsea's been known on in the past years, right? You know, Diego Costa types, Didier Drogba types. You know, those sort of bullying number 9s, right? Sort of grabbing the shirts and ripping defenders, you know, to one side to score goals. And Kai Havertz just isn't that. I mean, he'll score a nice silky goal here and there, but you know, most of the time, for 89 minutes, he doesn't look like he's even in the game. You know, it's just a weird one. But you're right. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, we spoke last week, and I said myself that Potter needs time, and I think that's still the case. You've got to give him the time to build the team and put the team together. He is one for nurturing young talent, and we have got all the players that we bought are very young, right? I mean, they're all sort of 19, 20, 21, 22 years old. So he's the guy for it, and I think that's the vision. But at the end of the day, I think that they are all sort of top talents of Europe and globally, actually. You know, if we're sort of saying that, I'm not sure if Potter is the guy long term to sort of build that team that we need for success. I don't know if we need a sort of a bigger name manager to do that. I think that's my concern now after shelling out that much money.
Yeah, I mean, the Ziyech thing just threw me, right? Because if you're a top level manager, you don't play Ziyech. Just because of what's happened, let alone anything else. And it doesn't matter how good you are. At that point, you start on the bench at best pace, right? Because for me, he's never a first starter anyway. Forget Fulham and forget any game. And, you know, if that's the situation, that tells me Potter is probably weaker as a manager. And, you know, somebody like Fergie wouldn't have done that. I think somebody like Mourinho wouldn't have done that. So let's see how it pans out. What about you guys? What did the others think?
I think Sage wanted to get something in for.
You know what? You guys have made really good points, and I agree with most of your points. But we're forgetting a key component here. Felix is still banned, so once I feel like Felix comes back into that Chelsea squad, I really do truly believe Chelsea are going to become dangerous again. I know what you're saying about Graham Potter. He doesn't seem to have the cojones to be that proper stepping stone manager to get to you guys to that level. But if you see what he's done with Brighton, I feel like we've got to give him time. Like, Brighton's a very good example, and they've got a tradition and a culture now that they've adapted to, that once he's gone, they're still doing their business. They're still getting the players in that we have never heard of. Like, what's his name again? Is it Minotoma? Is it? I forgot how to pronounce his name. Yeah. No one's heard of this guy, but he's coming into the Prem, ripping it up. He's got a degree in dribbling. Do you know what I mean? So, and from what I saw in that Chelsea game, you guys didn't look strong up top. Like, Kai Havertz, he should have really scored. Like, I'm gonna tell you straight up, if Joao Felix was there, guarantee goal. Even though Felix had a little bit of a cameo, got himself sent off, but you can see what Felix is about. Do you know what I mean? And now that you guys have got players that will complement him, I really think Chelsea are going to be dangerous. And Enzo Fernandez's little cameo proves that he's a baller. Put him around certain players, Chelsea are going to be balling, and your defense is shoring up. You're not conceding as much as you was before. So with regards with like Graham Potter, I feel like you guys got to give him a bit of time, and you've introduced about 7-8 players. They're not going to gel straight away. It's not going to happen. No way it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Are they going to give him time?
I think they will. Yeah.
You know what it is? Like, I'm an Arsenal fan, and I saw what we had to go through with Arteta, and I do believe you got to give these sort of managers time, because you got to remember, Graham Potter wasn't a seasoned Premier League manager. He came from the Championship, so you got to give him a bit of time. And I don't know what's the relationship with the owner is, but I feel like he's just being told, yo, we're going to go sign this player. You're going to have to like control him and fit him into the team. So I don't think he has full control of the situation. So you got to give him a little bit of leeway. That's my only criticism in your comments.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, Carragher was interviewing him on Friday Night Football, and he sort of alluded to that, right? He didn't say they're all my signings. He said they were club signings, and that tells you quite a lot. And he's there to coach those players, to bring those players up, to play in the system, as a team. So I think that's his role. He said it himself. He's very clear about he's the coach, and he's not the recruitment, team as such. And those are the people that sit behind the scenes. But I agree. I mean, we're talking about the game. We're talking about Chelsea Fulham Friday night. And yes, I expected us to win. I didn't expect us to smash it. But long term, I'm excited about the future and what Chelsea have on, resources available and what they're able to build. Whether it will be this season is yet to be seen, or are we, similar to Liverpool, probably writing off the season and go again next. I still think it's early for Chelsea to write off the season. It's exciting, but the game was disappointing on Friday, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Hash, what's your views on Chelsea, bro? As in, do you think that Potter's going to turn it around, or do you think they're doomed and he's not the right man for this job? Because there's a lot of egos in that dressing room. There's a lot of money in that dressing room. There's a lot of superstars, global superstars, internationals. And there's going to be people that will say, I should have played. People look at Ziyech and say, why did Ziyech play? My man was on a plane 48 hours ago, whatever it was.
I think you have to give the manager some time. But it can go one in two ways. I'm in two minds at the moment because, like I said, when we started with Arteta, we finished 8th first. First 2 seasons, we finished 8th. So you have to give him some time. You have to let him rebuild, because you spend a lot of money, You bought like 6, 7, 8 players. They all need to gel together, build that chemistry. Like I said, Felix needs to still come in, and once that chemistry builds, I think next season they'll do wonders. I think next season is the one. This season, just play together as much football as you can. They also got Champions League as well, so.
The thing is, guys, Riggs, and I'll ask you this: was Graham Potter that good? Because he left Brighton, and Brighton didn't get any worse. They lost some of their best players to Chelsea, Cucurella. They lost other players in the Premier League, and they're still smashing it. So really, was Potter the great manager, or is it that they've just got amazing players? I mean, do you get what I'm saying? Is Potter as good as it looks now, considering Brighton are smashing it and Chelsea are left with an average manager? Or do you think that they have got the right man and they should back him? How do you look at it from that point of view?
It's a good point, man, but it's just it's still so early. But my concern for him is, like Beej was saying, those signings, how many of them were his? And at Brighton, I don't think it was like that. Everything sort of pretty went through him. He had probably yes or no on everything. He's in effect running the club how we'd expect a traditional manager to be doing it. Now you come to Chelsea and it's like, here you go, deal with this. So I'm not sure, is he going to be able to build how he'd want to typically build things? And then in terms of time, I don't know what the expectation is from Chelsea's owners. Is it not, you need to get Champions League this season, or is it if you finish 9th or 10th, that's all right? I don't know. I'm thinking if you finish 9th or 10th, they're just going to go out, get a bigger manager. You know what I mean when I say bigger manager.
Roman would have sacked him by now, man. 100%.
Yeah, and I don't know. Are they going to give him another 300 million in the summer? I don't know.
They might do, but if you look at the FFP rules, right, Josh, 8-year contracts. Most of these players are 20, 21 years old. Most of them are unproven. Yeah, you could have bought that Mudryk for about 1 million 24 months ago. Nobody would have blinked an eye. Yeah, he's gone over for like 86 odd million. So the fact that they're going to close this loophole, but they're going to do it after Chelsea have managed to sort of, exhaust it. You're in a situation where they're probably, some of them are bang average players, right? Like the kid from PSV. We don't know how good he is. They've just signed him and they've popped him into the team. Now, it's going to be interesting. I think that the players that they're signing is almost like just moving money around. It's almost like they're not at that level to be signed. And the one that they should have signed, they've got on loan. So, even though you can build around Felix, you can build around him for 6 months. And then, I mean,
there you go. Plan.
Sorry, G. Yeah, I was just going to say. I mean, Felix. I mean, you're right. Felix is on a loan right now, but there is a feeling that could become permanent. There's a sort of an agreement on the player side that he would want to stay long term if it worked out. I mean, it could all go pear shaped, right? And he might think, get the hell out of here, right? And that could happen. But if we build something towards the end of the season where you see the team is gelling, it's connecting, and we're going places, and next season looks really exciting, he could be another one to stay.
Yeah. And he's again fitting the mold, isn't he? He's young and he's talented. He's world class in certain respects. So yeah, you've got a really good spine there, I think. But again, defense probably needs work as well, because Thiago Silva, bless him, I don't know what they put in his Weetabix, but he's there every game.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, VJ, right, on this this new amortization buying method, spending model, whatever you want to call it. Is there a risk of having deadwood just sitting there and players not wanting to sort of move on? Because I just wonder who's in the better seat here, the club or the player, and even the manager, if we take into it, because the manager could be stuck with players. So I look at the club and I think, right, you got your Renzo. I don't know what's he on a week roughly. Do you know his wages?
I don't actually, but yeah, I don't know what he's on actually. To be fair, I'll be working for the list of players.
Yeah, if he's on a longer contract, he's likely to be on lesser wages, because obviously that's the whole technique.
Yeah.
I think what's his name? Mudrik's on 100 grand a week or 97 grand a week.
It's about 97. Yeah.
97. Yeah. Does this not leave the player a little bit stuck as well? Because the Bosman is what works for the player. Look at Harry Kane now. He's suddenly in the driving seat this summer. And Levy can't, Levy's got to take a good offer if it comes. So is this going to take away player power? How do you see this panning out? Because this is completely brand new, it's untested. I heard he does it in America in the baseball stuff and all that, but that's a different business altogether. And that's probably the norm there. Over here, I'm just wondering, and this goes out to everyone, where's this going to leave the players? Because if I've got an 8-year contract, yeah, I could call it a retirement from one angle, but from another angle, if I want to push for a move, what power do I have? Do you know what I mean? The club could just hold me ransom for 6-7 years on that contract.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think G spoke about this or mentioned something on this last week. Yes, it's something that he's done, in his other ventures. He's obviously looking to build something at Chelsea where he can bring the value of the club up, right? They paid 2.5 billion for the club, I should say, with a pot of money they needed to invest back into the first team, men's first team, women's infrastructure, etc. They're clearly, doing that right now. And they want to build the value up so it's worth, 5-10 billion in X number of years' time. But this is no different, right, to any team signing a bunch of players. Okay, we've signed quite a few players. At the end of the day, these are top talents, right? These, with respect, is not something like, a Weghorst, right? Which is probably, it is great for the short term for United, but he's not the long-term answer, right? So you would think that these players that we've signed, okay, I'm not saying that every single one of them is going to be, a superstar, but they're going to want to play. They're 19, 20 years old. They're professionals already at this point. They've joined Chelsea Football Club, which is a, Premier League top division in the world. Every player wants to come and play. They're going to be worth something at the end of the day. And yes, it's a risk. I do think, yes, it's a risk. But at the end of the day, I don't think we're going to be left with, 10 players on the bench who's just sitting there thinking, I'm 23 years old. I'll see this out for another 7 years or whatever it left on my contract. And happy days and never play again or be okay playing a game in a Carabao Cup or something like that. So yeah, it is a risk. It's to be seen. It's very interesting. There's a lot of eyes on it, right? A lot of people are looking at it and think, well, you signed a load of players, but if we had signed all those players over, let's say, 2 or 3 transfer windows, would we be asking the same questions? Probably, but I don't think as loudly.
And other clubs have done it, right? Let's be honest. Man City did it, and Blackburn did it back in the 90s. It's not totally unheard of. And I think what's interesting here is Josh's point around the player power piece. If you fall out with one of these players, what do? You just stick in the reserves for the next 8 years. Do you see? Like that's the other piece. And if the manager changes, and he might not be the cut of the jib, if you bring in Jose Mourinho, who likes to spend a lot of money and win leagues, he might not want half these players. Then you're stuck with them. So what do you do?
Yeah. I think these are all valid points, and I think when you've got players, you've got that many players, you're going to ask the question, But I was looking at something the other day, and I think Chelsea right now, I think Josh, you've got it on there. I've got 33 players, right, which is 2 to 3 more than what United have got and City have got. I think it is. I can't remember now. I might be wrong with the City one. So yeah, there are a lot of players, and a lot of players you would say that want to be playing, where maybe someone like United, those 29 might not be pushing for first team places every week, but I think every one of those players that are signed probably want to be playing. Equally, saying that, there are some discussions like David Fofana on there are going to be going out on loan potentially. So I'm not sure that all of them are signed to play this season or even next season. So there's some contingency there that they'll send contingency. I'm not sure that's the right word, but there's some sort of plan there that some of these players will go out on loan and then will come back for the future. So that some of that cost is actually offset, but the players aren't sitting on the bench thinking, crap, I'm not playing this week again, this week again, etc.
Yeah. And
Some of them can't fit in
that's the Arsenal model, isn't it? So you look at Saliba, you look at Balogun right now, smashing it up in the French league. That's exactly their model, and they come back better players for it. So yeah, it can work.
Imagine Rinks, you're looking at this and you're crying, bro. Look at the money on that page, man.
I was going to say half these players can't play in the Champions League, can they? Because there's only so many spots.
No.
They
only got
this
3
season,
spots.
correct. Yeah.
They only got 3 spots.
Yeah. So Felix, Mudryk, and
who's not going to play in the Champions League?
Well, I think it'd be easier to tell you who will play, right? So Felix is in, Fernandes is in, and Mudryk. So those are the 3 that go in for this season. And Aubameyang's been dropped.
Is it?
Wow.
Yeah, he's been dropped.
That's actually true. Is that actually true that he's been dropped for the
he's been dropped.
to the team?
Dropped from the Champions League squad, yeah.
They've been replaced.
Yeah.
Upgraded.
Yeah.
Wow.
Arteta's right all along then.
Well, I think Arsenal. Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of Arsenal fans were sort of saying, I told you so, right, on Twitter. So, yeah, they were quite happy with that.
Yeah, Todd Bodie's a madman, isn't he? He's like he's in a casino a bit, He's like a bit of a gambler, isn't he? He seems very over decisive. It's almost like he's football manager for him, I don't know, man. It's mad what he's doing, and I'm loving it. It's entertaining. I just worry. Well, I don't worry too much. I don't do sleep, but is this going to leave?
I was going to say,
is he going to leave Chelsea in a place where in 3 years they're sitting there going, shit, we just overdid it, Look at Arsenal's approach. Liverpool yet to decide their approach. Chelsea have got a brand new approach. They're not, there's no like ifs and buts. They've put it out there. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to change the game up. We've got balls. We're innovating. We're finding loopholes. We're doing everything possible to get back in the top 4. So I respect the whole ballsy attitude of Todd Bodie. Totally respect that, the way he came in and bought the club. But what I'm not sure about is who's making the final decision. And if it's Todd Bodie, man doesn't know about English Premier League. I hope he's got a left and right next to him. I don't know. He sacked obviously Czech and the lady that was there, right? And they were like Chelsea through. So who are his left and rights? Because I know you brought in Potter and his 2 assistants or the recruitment guys from the coaching setup and the scouting network. But is there a soundboard? Does this man have a soundboard upstairs where someone says, yo, Todd, calm down? It's like he's the Putin of the Premier League. Is anyone there talking to him? Relax.
Yeah. There is, right? I mean, I don't think he's going out and think, right, I'll go shopping today. I'll buy that player, I'll buy this player, etc. He's certainly a hard negotiator, and there is a team around him, I'm guessing, he's consulting with. But, it's a bit like Abramovich, when he came into Chelsea and started spending money, right? He sort of brought a revolution to the Premier League where you had to invest to keep up, and the likes of City and Arsenal, and they've all been invested in their squads heavily, and you've seen these massive transfer fees. I have to be honest, I do find it a little bit uncomfortable that the club that I support is spending a lot of money because of all the things that we've discussed, and the amount of money that sort of spoken about sometimes just feels like monopoly money, right, at the end of the day. So yeah, it could fall flat on its face, and it'd be scary to think what would happen if that was the case. But equally, if it works, I wonder if clubs will be forced, to go out and spend in the same way. And I don't know if the loopholes will be found anymore, but yeah. But the other thing as well, has already been said on in the show is that these loopholes are being closed. So I don't think we're going to see these types of a huge amount of money being paid for players, or at least in that small space of time, a particular window.
Beach, all those players though, right? So when City started doing it, I mean, I'm talking about right at the start, not the second or third wave. And when Chelsea did it first time round, or even Blackburn, all the players they bought, everyone knew they were going to go straight in the first team. It was like almost every purchase was like, yeah, that's an upgrade, that's an upgrade. Those list of players, how many of those are like, from a Chelsea fan perspective, is it, yeah, that's our new centre back, that's our new, or how much of it is just unknown?
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good question. And if you sit down and say, well, all the players that we signed, which one is the first choice? I don't think we could answer that question right now. And if we got Graham Potter on the stream, he wouldn't be able to tell us either, because I don't think any of these players in that respect are even tested or put through their paces. I think there's a few there, right? The players like Mudryk, Felix, and Fernandes. I think those ones are shoe-ins right now. Badishile at centre back, he seems to be a much more a better pick than a Koulibaly right now. So I think 4 of those out of what we signed definitely are our first choice players. But that could change. And to be fair, those are the bigger money signings at this point. But you've got people like the graphic on screen shows Wesley Fofana. He's still got to come back, right? So where does he fit into all this? And then you've got Cucurella. Where does he fit into all of this? You've got Ben Chilwell that was on the bench the other day. He came on for a few minutes the other day. He would be first choice, and Reece James on the other side. So there's a lot of spaces, and it's good to have competition, right? You can't just have one place, for each position. I mean, that's not healthy either. We've seen that with James. He goes off injured, and it's game over. So yeah, I think those 4 players that I mentioned would be first choice. Others up for debate.
Cool. Lads, lovely, loving it on the Chelsea chat. We're going to have to move away from Chelsea, but I want to ask this one big question to the panel. With all this talent and all this, these great players that you've signed and everything that we can see on the screen here, I would love to have some of these players as a Spurs fan. We're trying to put plasters over Dyer and Davis and just get them through matches. But I'm looking at Chelsea's squad. What is acceptable, VJ, as a minimum finish this season, mate? Because I get the give him time. I get the whole thing. But this geezer, listen, Potter's he hasn't just entered the game. He's a Premier League manager that with Brighton did really well. There has to be expectation on him. I get the whole give him time. That's completely understandable. But what is a minimum? Is top 6 an absolute minimum? Or are Chelsea fans, you watch Chelsea TV, you watch Chelsea YouTube, you watch Chelsea more than anyone. Is the consensus among the fan base that unless we get into Europe, this guy's got to be sacked? I mean, surely Chelsea have to be in Europe. Top 6 surely is still realistic, man. It's not that far away, is it?
Yeah. I mean, we're 10 points off top 4, right? I mean, that's where we are. We're just over halfway through the season. So top 4 is still a possibility. It is a topsy-turvy season, I think, especially with the results we've seen over this weekend. Arsenal losing, City losing, it crazy, right? It's supposed to be two teams going for the title. But realistically, to answer your question, I think we've got to be in Europe. I think you've got to remember, outside of all the spending, the change of manager, we have gone through a complete ownership change with the club, from top to bottom, recruitment teams, the executive teams, all of them, they're fresh into their roles. And don't forget that we were sanctioned, and it wasn't that long ago when, I was reading comments like, you lot want to go for Declan Rice. You can't even afford Uncle Ben's rice at the moment. So, we went through all of those things as well, and Skinsky and all of that sort of stuff. So, we've gone from a club that was potentially going to be liquidated and nowhere to be seen to spending a load of money. And the expectation is now they're like, well, where should you finish? You know, should you be in Champions League spots or should you be in Europe? With all that being said, I think a fair evaluation has to be a top 6 at this point. Has to be a top 6. But if the teams start to gel, then I think top 4 is maybe not out of the question just yet.
Josh, I appreciate you showing the spaces up to 10th there.
You made it.
Hang on, I've got to scroll up.
Yeah. Listen, if you've got neck pain, lads, feel free to just take a break. You must be pretty sore down the back there, mate. You know what I mean? If you need a little massage, you might want to give each other one, you know what I mean, over the screen and that. But listen, obviously, Arsenal, City, United fans, Spurs fans, we're loving seeing these two giants, Premier League juggernauts from last season, from yesteryear. Listen, I can't speak, man. We've never even won a Premier League, but it's lovely up here. I'm not going to lie. It's beautiful. The clouds up here. I can see just about down there a couple of teams. But now, honestly, VJ, respect you for saying it how it is, man. I mean, I need to share one more screen, right? Because have you seen the fixtures for Chelsea for the next couple of weeks? Because I'm sure you have.
Well, they look pretty good, don't they?
Whoa. I mean, you tell me, mate. You tell me, because I'm looking at this, right? And Chelsea fans, right, at the end of the day, with that squad, what we saying, man? Like, literally, look at those fixtures, man. West Ham away on form. Dortmund away. Southampton at home, you should pick up points. Spurs away. And then you got Leeds at home again. And then Dortmund at home, man. I mean, what are you saying, man, over the next 6 games?
Yeah, I mean, you'd expect, right? I mean, a typical Chelsea, you'd expect to be winning most of those games. I think Champions League's got to be a big focus for us, right? He's got to pick a team that's got to go out and perform in the Champions League. And I think at the end of the Champions League campaign is really going to tell us a lot about Graham Potter as well. I would say, you know, if we go through games quickly, I would expect a win against West Ham, struggling Southampton, can't seem to buy a corner, let alone a goal. Leeds can be a bit of a boogie team, right? At the end of the day, I mean, they've, you know, seemed to turn up against us for some reason. But yeah, you know, potentially that could be a slippery one. Tottenham are flying, aren't they? You know, I mean, you saw them today, absolutely brilliant. So I don't expect a huge amount out of that game, but you know, it's a
3-point lane.
It's a derby. Yeah, 3-point lane. It used to be 3-point lane. Yeah, so it could go either way. But I expect the left-hand column to be picking up enough points there to sort of win those 3 games, and doing well in the Champions League. Spurs game ?
Fair enough. Any other Chelsea questions, lads, for VJ?
Just make sure you make it into Europe, man. Someone's got to pay the wages.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Got a rich owner, man. And whilst we're on Chelsea, the FFP thing, I do want to do a piece on that. I just need to get my head around it. If anyone's got any good knowledge on it for next week's show, we're going to do a little piece because there's questions about how does it really work. There's new rules that came out in September. They called it the sustainability rule, where it's to do with different pillars within your revenue, within this, that, the everything else. It's a little bit more different to just this is how much you can spend, and it's more evolving. So I think it's a good thing, but you know what? You never know with FIFA and the Premier League, man. They're always up to tricks and loopholes. And as long as some of them fat cats in Brussels are happy, they let a lot of things go past. For example, Chelsea got a small fine in the past. Man City have had a small fine. PSG have had a small fine, but they got away with spending hundreds of millions. So I'm not sure FFP really deters clubs from spending big money. I just think it's a little slap on the wrist, if you ask me. But
yeah, I mean, not to go into too much, Josh, I know you want to move on, but I think with FFP, I think a lot of people think, especially quite a few conversations I've had over the last week or so, they think it's a cap on spending. It's not a cap on spending. You know, it's not like, well, that's how much you can spend on players. It's not that. It's far more complex than that. You know, in Man City, you know, as well, we ain't got a City fan on this stream, but, you know, Man City were making up companies, you know, like shirt sponsors and all sorts to balance their books. I mean, it's ridiculous. There's loads of loopholes and there's loads of ways around it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Wicked. Nice one, VJ. Appreciate that, mate. A little nice run up on Chelsea. I will be clipping parts of the last 30 minutes and sticking them out on Instagram over the next couple of days. So anyone who missed the last 40 minutes and you've just started watching this, then just go on the Instagram channel, go on the YouTube channel, Footy Fanatics, and you'll see clips of what Vijay has been talking about, what we've been talking about. Now let's climb up the top, right to the top, to the summit. Arsenal, this is your time. 1-0 to Everton. Nobody predicted that. Nobody predicted that on last week's show. I asked you all for predictions. We all had a clean slate. 3 points, 2-0, 3-0, whatever it was. And listen, Hash, we're going to start with you and then move to Sage on this. Our Arsenal experts in the house. What the hell happened in them 95 minutes, mate?
First of all, Everton, it's our bogey team. You know, last year we went there. You know, I remember they had like 8-9 games. They didn't win a game. We went there. They won a game. And the year before that, same thing. They had a bad run of form. We went there. They beat us. And the last time I remember we won there was when, I don't know, like 4 years ago, when Sanchez Ozil were there that time. That's the last time we won their ground. So it is our bogey team, but they were better than us all department, man. They just started pressing from the start, winning the balls. We were just playing loose balls. The final pass wasn't there. The final pass wasn't there. And just a few shaky moments. They should have been 2-3 up, man. We got lucky that we lost 1-0. Should have been more. But by looking at it, it just is one of our bogey teams, and we can't really complain. But I think it's just a little blip. We just need to recover, bounce back. The last time we lost was like at Old Trafford, and we just bounced back from that. So I'm expecting some bounce back from next week from at Brentford, hopefully.
Fair enough. Sage, how are you feeling about that? I mean, look, I'm just going to say one thing. You had 8 days before this game, so there's no tired legs excuses, right? And they're a young team, right? And I don't know how many injuries you've got exactly, but I don't think there's many apart from Jesus, and you might have a couple of niggles around the dressing room. I know Thomas Partey's been carrying something. You've got a new player in Jorginho who had some match time, and you got the other dude in as well at the centre back there. And I'm just looking at this Dyche team, right? Dyche is coming. Everyone knows what Sean Dyche is about. Dyche ball, yeah, whatever you want to call it. It's boring, it's long, it's in your face, it's old school, Tuesday night away, that kind of football, right? It's proper old school English football, Sean Dyche. He doesn't know any other way. It's ginger football, do you know what I mean? It's boring.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Arsenal, do they even have a plan B? Because, listen, you can't just, it's like Pep right now. You can't say, right, we're always going to play the same way wherever we go. Do you put this on Arteta? I mean, did he fail to plan? Did he fail to adapt? Who do you put this loss on, man?
You know what? It's not. I'll put the loss on the players and Arteta because, as Hash said, this is our bogey team. We haven't won there in years, and people tend to forget. Sean Dyche is Arteta's bogey manager. He doesn't win against Sean Dyche a lot, and Sean Dyche was working with a Burnley team that didn't have that much technical ability, but they've got that physicality. They'll bring the game to you. Now, you're giving Sean Dyche an Everton team that has got physicality and technique in certain departments of the field. So it's always going to be a tough game. And this new, I don't know what they call it now, but when a new manager comes in, the team just suddenly turns up. The managers bounce. So I just had a funny feeling from day one since I saw that everything Sean Dyche getting appointed. I was like, Arsenal might drop some points. We're gonna have to rely on Spurs to do the business against City. You know what I mean? And you guys done the business. But overall, I do put it on Arteta. I feel like some of these tactical changes were not positive. Like, for example, Eddie and Nketiah, he wasn't really offering that much up top. If the game's not running well, like, move someone in his position, or we don't have a backup striker. Like, that's one thing I stressed about. Everyone's like, get a midfielder, get a defender. We needed players in all the departments. But apart from Eddie, Jesus is injured. Jesus is injured. So who else we back up on? There was no backup plan with that. Trossard came on, did a little bit of dribbling, got a couple chances for us, but it didn't really do much. Odegaard was off the mark. Like, I'm looking at the team right now. It says Thomas Partey is 7.3. I would even give him that. I would give him a 6.9. He was misplacing passes. He was getting glided past. The Corey made him look weak.
The Corey played like Pogba for a second. Then
I got Arteta to blame for that.
Yeah.
Wait, did I again?
I was just going to say, why didn't you go out and get a striker if you're genuinely going for the Premier League title, and your recruitment's been spot on so far? Why not break the bank and go and get
I
a
think
decent striker?
Eddie's performed well though. If you look at the game, so
Yeah.
United, he scored those 2 goals. He's been
Yeah, but
performing.
he needs the backup, right?
Yeah.
You need
We
the
do,
backup.
we
Yeah.
do
He's
need
been
backup,
performing, he's
but
been
we
performing.
also have another striker on loan as well. You look at Balogun, he's performing. He's a top goal scorer right now in France. So
Yeah.
there are
So have you
strikers
got
there.
an option to call him back? Can you call Balogun back?
Now we need to let him develop. Man. You can't just call that young kid back and then just put him on the
Well,
bench.
he's a top scorer in the thing. If he can bring
Yeah, I
win
know,
you the
but
Premier League, you might want to call him back.
Yeah, and I think that's the point, right? Yeah, that's a good point I think you make there, because this is Arsenal's like brilliant chance to win the league, right? I mean, next season Liverpool, Chelsea, City will be United. They'll all be pumping. Newcastle will be in the mix as well, probably more than in the mix.
Yeah.
I think Arsenal got to seize the chance. They got to. I don't think Arsenal had a very good window. They didn't get their top targets. They didn't. And I just think that could be the difference if they don't go on and win it. That could be the difference.
I just think there was it wasn't our day. Had a little blip. We just move on. We just need to bounce back.
Yeah,
next week.
I don't think this is going to determine the title charge at all. I just think this is a blip. This is a bogey team. Sean Dyche as well. I don't think any other team in the Premier League will bring it to us like that for the rest of the season. To be honest with you, I feel like when we go to City's ground, we'll bring it to them. When City come to our ground, we'll bring it to them straight away. Because last season when we lost to Everton, did you see the run that we went on after that? Does anyone remember like the run we went on after the loss to Everton?
Yeah,
I think that's going to be replicated again. To be honest with you,
Everton is to Arsenal what Southampton was to United. Yeah. So literally, we could not get a win at the Dell. And so no, I hear you. I hear you.
I just want to ask this question to you, guys. And Rinks, let's start with you, bruv, because you probably know all about squad depth, right? Probably the reason why it's more important as a Liverpool fan at the moment, because we're going to come on to Liverpool soon as well. Do you think Arsenal's lack of squad depth, VJ mentioned investment there in the January window, not getting their A targets, maybe not getting that strikers hurting them now because a young Nketiah just thrown in there, feeling the tension. Where does mentality come into this now? Because now we're getting into the business end. We can see the finishing line. We're approaching that part of the season now. We've got Champions League, Europa League, FA Cup, League Cup, whatever competition you're in. It's getting heavy. It's getting busy right now. Do you think Arsenal have the mentality and this is just a blip? Or do you think it's finally cracking because they've carried it and carried that expectation? They've proven everyone wrong. Their own fans wrong, the media wrong. And now it's like, you know what? They went to Man City. Arteta threw the white towel in there with the FA Cup with that funny selection. They took that L on the chin, and Arsenal fans said, you know what? We don't want to be in this competition. It's fine. We've won it a few times. We want to focus on the number one prize, Premier League. And I understand that because it's difficult to stretch your squad. But do you think that the mentality is now starting to show, and Arsenal over these next few games will potentially start showing cracks? Or do you think this is a blip? How do you look at it?
Yeah, I don't know. I reckon you got to call it a blip. It's like one game. Do you know what I mean? And like the lad said, it's Everton. It's a bogey team, and I reckon going out the FA Cup is, I think, just concentrating on the league. It's not a bad thing. Like when Liverpool, when we won the league, that people probably didn't realise, but we didn't really, like, Klopp didn't use like 20 players all year. We had like a core 11 and 3 other players that pretty much won us the league. And then it worked to our advantage, I think, having a smaller group of players that you're relying on. And he hasn't bought a striker, but I can see why he probably didn't as well, because he's thinking, do I want to upset things? Like the Espria thing. Yeah, and I don't know as well. Like, is the fact there's been no expectation? Do like in 2 weeks, like if there's a draw, I think it will just become everyone still expects City to win, and there's still that real pressure is not really on them yet. So I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know what Hash and Sage think, right? But I don't feel like there's like loads of Arsenal fans just jumping up and down and saying, yeah, we're going to walk the league now, we're going to win it. I think there's still, because you've got City and because everyone knows what City can do, that's actually helping, I think, in terms of the expectation.
What is the feeling? That's a good question. What is the feeling? Do Arsenal fans think they've won it, or do they still think the City?
I just think one game at a time.
You still going with that?
I think the decider will be, Wednesday 15th. If we go on, let's say we go on, Saturday we beat Brentford, and then we go to Wednesday we beat Man City. I think that'll decide it. I'll be more confident we can go and win the league. If we could beat Man City, let's say 2-3-1, then I think we can win the league.
What if you draw that game? What if you draw that game against City? Then
we move on. We have to move on to. Then we have to go Anfield as well. Then we have to go back to City. That's towards the end of the, I think that's the last month in May. We have to go Etihad to play them as well. Don't forget we've got Newcastle away as well. That's another time.
And they're on
place
form.
to go to. Yeah. I remember last year that hurt me, man. Newcastle away.
To me, this still feels like it's Leicester all over again. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's still, they're still up in the air. Like, are they going to win it? Are they going to win it?
If you look at our form, we played 20 games. We won 16. We drawn 2, and we lost 2. It's incredible form.
That's what my point though. Based on that, if it was any other team, if it was City, Liverpool, all these other teams, like it'd be like you're going to win the league with that form. Yeah. But even you guys as Arsenal fans, you're not. It doesn't sound like you're coming out and saying, "Yeah, we're going to win it." It's still.
No, my heart says we'll win it, but my head says, we have one game.
I think you're one of the sensible ones. Arsenal fans I know think they've already won it. They're looking for the trophy already in the cabinet. But I think you're more sensible. But do you not think, like with Arsenal, right? I mean, when we looked at them last season, they were absolutely brilliant. You talked about, when you got beaten by Everton, you went on a run. Everybody absolutely thought you were going to make top 4 last season, right? And then your best mates, from next door went and picked you at the post. On a game that we thought Arsenal would have walked it. Do you think that will come? Would that creep in towards the end of the season when you're thinking, damn, we're really close?
That defeat at Tottenham is a blessing in disguise. Without that defeat, I don't think we'll be where we are today.
I agree
if you did get Champions League football, I don't think we'll be like first place. I think we'll be around like creeping up on 2nd, 3rd, maybe or maybe 4th.
So you think you've got the mentality this time around to sort of win it?
Because signing players like Zinchenko, Jesus has shifted the mentality big time. They're Premier League winners. Zinchenko brings a lot of investment.
I feel like a lot of the younger players are starting to mature now as well. Look how Saka's approaching the games. Look how Martinelli's approaching games. Look at Saliba. He come in like a new signing, and he's only 20 years old.
He's like a Van Dijk.
He's better than Van Dijk on stats this season. So, yeah.
What's happened to Martinelli, lads? Has he just been unlucky, or is he still creating? What's happened to his game? I'm just not hearing too much about.
I just think I don't know what it is. I just think since that Mudryk signing has happened, everyone's just looking at Martinelli more. I just don't know. That's how I feel. Since Chelsea got Mudryk, I think everyone's paying attention to Martinelli, what he does. I think they're just being over. I think Martinelli he starts for me every game. Trossard's on the bench, but Martinelli, he's all right. That Everton game, everyone had an off day. No one played well. Odegaard didn't play well. Saka had a blitz of moments. That volley, if that went in, then probably would have won the game. But everyone didn't play well. It I think Martinelli scores this week. He'll come in and he'll shine against Brentford.
Yeah. In a worst case scenario, Nketiah gets injured. How do Arsenal play?
Then we put Martinelli through the middle and we put Trossard on the left.
Right. Okay. Fine.
So, like Josh, if we went round everyone now and said, right, do you think Arsenal are going to win the league? What would everyone say?
Let's do it. Start with you.
Yeah, I think they'll win it. I don't think City aren't the. If this was the City of when it was like Liverpool City, then I'd say no chance. Like City will just end up building up a run of steam, but I don't think it's the same City. And I think Arsenal, like Hash said, like I don't think you can have that sort of start and they're playing as well as they are, for it to just fall away. So yeah,
Hash,
Arsenal win it.
let's work our ways down, man. Hash, I'll come last. Hash, you might as well go next, and then everyone else after
I'm
that.
not gonna say nothing.
One game at a time.
One game at a time.
Boy, what
Hey,
fence
so
you on,
after-
bro? Is
after-
that from
Josh,
Selco?
Josh.
Which one is it?
After Wednesday, the 15th, then you can ask me this question.
Nah, you got to say yes or no. Come on, man. We'll change it every week. Don't worry, mate. It's not like no one's gonna
Yeah.
hold you.
We'll edit it.
Yeah,
At the moment, as it
says,
stands.
my heart says yes.
Nah. Forget your heart. What are you saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, my
What
heart
are you
says,
blaming on your heart for?
yeah, like I said, my heart says yes.
Oh man, fair enough. That's a yes, then, isn't it? Really?
We'll do another round and then ask everyone what their head is saying.
Yeah. What you know, Hash, what is your head saying? No, then, yeah.
It's just 50. I don't know. It's 50-50. Just Man City. I thought after that comeback when you guys winning at 2-0 at Etihad, I think Man City gonna go like some unbeaten run. But now they lost today. It's just like they don't look like the Man City when they were, when they were going, when they were fighting for the title against Liverpool. They were winning like every game. Yeah, there's something about Man City this season, so that's why it's give me a bit of hope that also might just snatch it, take it. You're not gonna get this
I think that's
opportunity
a
again.
yes. I think that's a yes.
Yeah, so yes, basically, yeah.
Oh, Ash, that was tough, mate. That was hard, mate. Bloody hell, man. Next time we'll just go with your heart and carry on, man. VJ, what are you saying, man? Are Arsenal going to win this Premier League? Are they going to be holding the famous trophy after 20 odd years in the summer? Or is it going to be the blue side? Or is it going to be the red side? Because I'm sure G will have something to say about that. But what do you think?
No, I think it's Arsenal. I think Arsenal will win it this season. Although it will be great to see Piers Morgan's head fly off when they don't. But I'll tell you why. I think Arsenal will win it because that's what they're fighting for, right? They're going for the Premier League. That's what they're focused on. They're not focused on a European Cup or domestic cups. City still want the Champions League. They're still in it. I think they're going to put their focus there. I just think that City are also not firing. Pep seems to be doing these weird things where he tinkers with the team sometimes too much. I mean, he didn't play De Bruyne today. You're kind of thinking he would sort of play him. And he'd done the same thing in the Champions League final, by the way, when Chelsea won it. Had he picked the right team, we probably wouldn't have won that. So I think Arsenal for me.
Yeah, Cancelo's out.
It's theirs to lose.
Yeah, Cancelo's out as well. G, are Arsenal going to win it, or are United going to come in?
I think they'll
win
win it, and I think they'll pip it. And here's the thing: I think they'll lose the last game of the season. They'll be waiting around to see whether they've won the league or not. But I think they'll win it because I think City, as a lot of people have said, they're not a better team with Haaland. And I think Jamie Carragher said it today after the game to say actually you've scored the same amount of goals as a team with Haaland in it. As if you hadn't. So the fact that City aren't 5-star right now is a reason that Arsenal win it, because I think if City go into 5-star mode, with the team that they have, I think they walk it. But again, it's too much in it. I think if you draw against Man City, if Arsenal draws against Man City and doesn't lose, it's got the belief to take it all away. Doesn't have midweek games, got plenty of time for players to recover and rest. You're going to have your two best players coming back full fitness, and I think that will see you through. But in the relegation dogfights that you'll have towards the end of the season, you'll drop points because there'll be teams like Everton that want it more, and I think that's when Arsenal are going to come a cropper with losing a couple of points here or there. But I think you'll win it.
Cool. Sage, what are we saying? Heart, head, chest, bum, toes.
It's just straight from the head. I feel like Arsenal are going to win the league this season. Like everyone's been seeing the performances. City are not the same City of the previous years. If you mark out Holland, if you mark out Haaland in the game, they're not going to do much. That's what I believe. So, and I do agree with G. I believe that we're going to drop points to them relegation battle teams. So we're going to see where we stand when it comes to that time. But I do believe we're going to win it.
Fair enough. That leaves me, the unbiased fan over here, all of that. Look, I think it's going to be tight. but I'm going to be different as well for the sake of being different. And I'm going to tell you why I'm going to be different. I think that Arsenal will finish second. And the reason I say that is because I just think Arteta is still yet. I know he's from a winning background with Man City. I get that. He's won with Man City and he understands what winning looks like. But I just wonder if Arteta is going to be able to change Arsenal's approaches in game management. Has he got the subs bench to change it? A bit like at Everton. I'm watching Arsenal thinking, do something, Arteta, change it. You can see that's not working. I can see it's not working. And I'm not a manager. I'm just a fan. It's not working. Why aren't you changing it? And he wasn't doing anything. He wasn't changing the game, really. Like, I know the subs bench was not his fault, but I feel like the subs bench is going to be the reason Arsenal don't win the title. Because I don't think he's going to have enough to change it up. And if you have bad luck with injuries, Man City, yes, they've lost Cancelo. Yes, you know, there's players that are not playing to the best of their ability in the Man City squad. But from the bench, with the amount of subs you can make now, Man City can change a game. You know, we saw that with Grealish coming in recently, hitting some form. Foden, you know, is yet to hit peak this season. And they've got other players that we know about in the midfield. Up top, Alvarez, you know, he's yet to smash it as well if he's up there on his own playing. So I think Man City will win the title because they've got more off the bench. And I just think the mentality side of things, I just wonder when you get to the last 10 games and the pressure's on, I think some of the players might feel it. So I'm going to say Arsenal will finish second. It'll be very close. I think it'll be about 4 or 5 points, if that. Whilst we're on this conversation, who's going to finish third, lads? Who's going to finish third? So let's start with Rinks all the way down. Who's going to finish third this season?
Liverpool.
From the top, bro. Not from the bottom. Oh, man.
You know what? When Arsenal lost yesterday, I thought, yeah, we're back in the title race. You know what I mean? Got a chance. Third, I'm always between United and Spurs.
Not Newcastle.
I'll go United.
Yeah, I don't know. Newcastle was just, I don't know, it's just the unknown. But yeah, I don't know if I had to pick between all of them. United, I think.
Yeah.
Hash,
Yeah, United.
VJ.
Yeah, United. I mean, Ten Hag's just changed the culture and philosophy there, isn't he? Of and they're just firing. Look at Rashford, absolutely smashing it. So I can't see past United for third.
G.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that. I think it's progress for us. So yeah.
Yeah, I think Rashford's your key
Keep him fit.
man there.
Keep him fit.
Yeah, keep him fit. Wrap him up, man. Wrap that hammy up day and night. Keep him nice and cozy. Because if he goes, you've got Sancho coming back. You've got Greenwood.
Coming back, is he?
I don't know about Greenwood, but we need his boys, Josh, don't we?
You got Mason Greenwood lurking,
boys.
mate. You know, if you see him in Manchester, be aware. Sage, are you gonna say United take third, or have you got a surprise, mate?
You know what? I actually can't determine who's gonna come third. It's between Newcastle, United, and Tottenham for me. I can't say between the three who's gonna get third because on the day, Tottenham can beat any team. On their day, United could beat any team, and Newcastle surprisingly are a tough team to beat. Only one loss this season, so I just don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm just gonna be that guy and say I can't say. I can't say. Like, look at that. I honestly can't say. It's very tight.
Yeah, I mean, come on, you got to come out with one team though. So apart from the three you mentioned, which one's going to be finished third? Come on, man, you can do it. Put your money.
I'm gonna give it. I'll put my money. If out of the three, I'll put my money in United. So I'll give it to United.
Fair enough, United. Cool, man. I also think Man United are going to finish third, lads. I think Spurs will finish fourth or fifth. It's a tough one. I think we'll finish fourth, but I think United will take third. I think you guys are playing good football with Casemiro back, with Bruno on fire, with Rashford on fire.
Casemiro's out 3 games.
Casemiro is out next 3 games.
That's
Yeah,
that's
they're
what I'm
not.
like.
They're not tough games, are they? They're not tough
It's
games.
all right. He'll be back against Liverpool when we need to park the bus.
Yeah, 100%. Well, look, this brings us on to Man United, G. This brings us on to Man United, mate. Start us off, man. I mean, did you deserve the win? Be honest.
Yeah. Did anybody see the Rashford goal?
Yep.
So from a team perspective, that's probably one of the best Man United goals I think I've
The
seen.
build-up.
Right, and
Mhm.
it's the finish, that depth finish. He didn't smash it. He didn't do anything. He literally passed that. That could have been an Arsenal goal. It could have been a City goal. It was that good. Yeah, United are back, and I think, apart from the sort of handbags at 10 paces situation with Casemiro, I mean, Will Hughes versus Casemiro. Can you imagine that as a fight? But I thought we were pretty good for value for the win, and you know what? We ground out the result, even though the referee obviously doesn't know how to read a watch, because we're supposed to have 7 minutes of injury time, and he went on for about 10 and a half. But ultimately we held on in the end, and I think we won, and that's 13 games now.
When you said United are back, they're just giving that. He gave you that Rio vibes. When he said United are back, give Ollie what he wants.
Yeah, but to be fair to Ollie as well, he was one penalty kick away from winning a European Cup, and he came second in that league. So people diss Ollie, but actually he got pretty close. So we'll see. One game at a time.
So what questions we got for the United result, lads? Because I don't know if you lot watched it. I did, and I thought Crystal Palace should have got a draw, personally. But United held on, so character's massive, and obviously, like, the players dug deep. They got the result. That could be a massive 3 points come the end of the season. It's one of them ones you look back and you go, do you know what? Remember that win at Palace, 10 men, best player off the pitch. Those last-minute tackles and throwing your body on the line. But Crystal Palace did have a couple of chances in the end there. There's one header which De Gea, straight down the throat of De Gea. Let's have a look at this team, lads. What do we make of this United setup against Crystal Palace? I mean, you've got here, this is your set team, right? G, this is pretty much it. I mean, you got
our £2.5 million forward, but I think it's the back line, right? When you look at that back line and you think how Aaron Wan-Bissaka's kind of come back in at right back, and he's been playing really well, yeah. The two in the centre, one's a World Cup winner and the other one was in the final, right? Luke Shaw's sort of found form, but Casemiro is probably, I would say, pound for pound, the best signing this season, right? And what he's brought to the team, not just the goals, but just the sort of solidity as well. Anthony, as I said, I have no idea if he could actually beat any player on the outside. Like, if he was in FIFA, I think his pace ranking's like 34. He just can't. And he might want to go and do that same degree at Matoma's done in dribbling. But overall, yeah, it's a solid team. It picks itself right now in terms of the injuries as well. Bear in mind, Fred laughs, right? Because I don't know what he called himself, the piano carrier or something. But then, Didier Deschamps was the same, and he won 2 World Cups as a manager. So maybe Fred's got some hope. I think overall we could have done with an out-and-out striker. I think if we brought somebody like Felix in, I would have been really, really happy that we had a really, sort of strong squad. Martial just goes missing half the time, so he doesn't get even onto the pitch. But yeah, it's an exciting time for United. As I said, the culture's changed. Because we got rid of Pogba, who, by the way, Juventus are also trying to get rid of now. It's just made a big difference, and Ronaldo going as well. The whole culture is different. The team is hungry, wants to play for the badge, and that's important. So yeah.
Can I ask G a question quickly? This is a key question because you mentioned a key player right there. You see Martial. What's your views on him? Is it time to pack up his stuff, or do you still want to give him more time to prove himself?
He needs to go, bro. I think the reality is he had a good one season, right? Under Louis van Gaal, scored 17 goals in that season, right? Outside of that, he genuinely doesn't look like he's bothered. He's a kind of person who's almost too relaxed and wants to appear in Stormzy videos, right? But outside of that, we don't really sort of see it. And he doesn't do it day in, day out. Whereas Rashford's gone away. He's like gone on some sort of retreat with some, Buddhist monks, and he's come back, right? He's like Superman. And that's what we're hoping for with Sancho as well. Because 350 grand a week hurts, right? When Mudrik's on 97. So, yeah, I think we need to get the best out of what we've got. But no, Martial needs to go. But we also need to buy properly. Like, if we're getting Kane in, he's coming in towards the sort of twilight of his career at 29, 30 years old, right? So I don't know. I'd love to see some more sort of Mbappe style players at United. I thought, he would be incredible if we could get somebody like him.
Mbappe at United, God forbid.
Yeah, well, crazier things have happened.
And listen, be quiet, lads. Todd Bowley might be listening in, bro. He might hack this stream. Before you know what he's like. Rinks, you're looking
got
at
him on FaceTime here.
Him, Josh. I've already reported him to find
BJ, let him know, but make sure you spell it right, bro. We might end up getting someone else, you know what I mean? He might go Mbueno from Brighton, from Brentford. You know what I mean? But he's a good player as well.
Money.
Huh?
He's after Klopp at the moment.
Yeah. He's after Fabrizio Romano as well, man. He's been following him around town. He's been stalking him. Rinks, the arch rival, is back. Not a good look, obviously, from a Liverpool perspective. But how do you sum up United, and where do you see them? Sort of like, I mean, are they? Is this the best it's going to get? Do you think Ten Hag's juicing the best from this bunch? Or do you think that the players are the players average and he's getting the best out of them, and this is as good as it's going to get in terms of this season? Because I'm looking at some of these players and I'm looking at subs bench and it don't look too healthy to me, man.
Yeah, so I'm on the same page as G, and that Casemiro, just him alone, he's turned the whole thing around. I think he is the buy of the season. Like, Haaland's good, and like we all know Haaland, but like Casemiro, it's like a different United now. And I think it is down to him. So much of it's done. And then the other bit is he got rid of Ronaldo. I think that's massive as well. I think like that might even be one of the reasons why Rashford's like turned it around. This I'm pretty sure there's a lot of players in that dressing room now. They ain't worried about Ronaldo, keeping Ronaldo happy. Worried about what Ronaldo's thinking. They're going out and playing now. Like their overall squad, I don't know. But the thing, it feels as if with Ten Hag though, there's progress. Like, it's going in the right way. So I'm not expecting them to win the league this year. Would they win it next year? I don't know. Depends who you buy. But I don't know. If I'm a United fan, I think I'd be pretty pleased now. Like, it feels as if they've got a manager who's taken them in the right direction. All the other previous managers, it just felt a bit up and down, up and down. G, what you said about Solskjaer, I don't agree with it anyway, because when you guys came second, everyone else was shit.
That's when Leicester won the league. I mean, everyone else was shit as well. So.
Yeah, same. No, but I don't know. With Solskjaer, like, what was it? There was loads of heavy defeats. I reckon. What was it when Liverpool won 5-1, whatever, and what it was, and he would have his interviews, and there was no anger. Like, all the top managers,
there's no
like
mini hair dryers there.
Yeah, like, but what I mean to say is, like, in the post-match interviews, you'd have like Fergie, Wenger, Klopp, all the big ones, even Jose. You can tell they don't even want to do the interview. They'll be pissed off. Like, they'll just get so easily wound up. But Ole just was like, 5-1. And just smiling.
There's a big problem there, right? Like at United, and we spoke about this, right, Josh, when we were looking at the shirty stuff as well. The big problem at United is it's an old boys club, right? Because Darren Fletcher's never, ever, going to get that job anywhere else in the Premier League. Yeah, so this whole kind of job for boys stuff kind of did come across as well with a little bit with Ole.
Yeah.
But what I would say to Ole is that he's just one of those guys. He's just a nice guy, and I think people wanted to sort of play for him, and they went out and they did the job as best as they could. Whereas Ten Hag is actually a superior coach, and he actually gets the players to do the drills and to do the plays that he wants them to do. And I know how strong he is, because actually we were going to go and get Pau Torres at centre back, and I think I spoke about this last week. And we went out and got Martinez, and everybody said, well, Martinez is not strong enough for the Premier League. And now we laugh, right? But because, again, he's been a brilliant signing. So, yeah, I think he doesn't have the sort of skill level as a Klopp or a Pep, yeah? But, with Ole, he did the best he could at a time when United were, we were more worried about getting the Glazers out, and we still are. But right now, we don't make a lot of noise about it because United are playing well, the club structure's better, and people aren't complaining as much. But no, I'll take your point.
Yeah, but I with Ten Hag, it feels as if after a long while they've got a manager that's taking them in the right direction, and that's worrying as a Liverpool fan. It is, because what was it like 2-3 weeks ago? It was like at one point people were talking about United Arsenal at the top again. It was like being back in the 90s.
Yeah. But again, I don't think Liverpool are a million miles off, right? So this is the irony. I think you've had a bad season, but you've had like 5 excellent seasons. And if you remember, in the first 3 seasons, Klopp didn't actually really do that much until he won everything after buying Alisson and Van Dijk. I remember that game when Gareth Bale scored against Karius, and Klopp was powerful enough to actually go out and sort that situation out and win the league. So I would trust in Klopp, and I would invest heavily behind him and bring in Bellingham and play all those sort of players. Once you know that your manager's good, then you've got to support him. The same goes for Conte. Conte is a serial winner as well. Support him. Ten Hag is actually untried and untested. So is Potter. I don't know what Potter's won. Anybody know what Potter's won? But
I think he got a promotion, maybe, or with the team, maybe potentially.
He's one promotion.
Yeah, that's right. VJ, which project is better if I'm Bellingham and my phone rings and I've got United on the phone on one phone and I've got Liverpool on the other phone? Same money, everything's the same, matched. Both giant clubs. Which club you're going to at the moment? Which one's a more appealing project? The Liverpool midfield or the Man United midfield? Where are you seeing that from? If they're both
the Arsenal project there as well.
Ash, you've had your chance, mate. You need to stop going with your head, mate, and start going with your heart. All right, look,
you asking me, Josh?
But let's say they both put the money on the table. We're talking about Liverpool, the big rivalry, red versus red in terms of Liverpool, Man U. Where you going? Are you going Liverpool or Man U now? If both are on the phone and you're Bellingham, or any top player?
We're going to United. We're going to United. I mean, United are building something. They've got a young manager who seems to know what he's doing. He's come in. He's absolutely transformed the club in going in the right direction. He's taken some tough decisions with the Ronaldo situation. And he's bought 1 or 2 key players just to connect the dots. And it seems to be working. I mean, ordinarily, you would say Liverpool, and you can't write Liverpool off just because they've had, half a bad season. But for me, I'm kind of looking at Klopp and I'm thinking best manager in the world, probably arguably at least in the top 2-3. And he's not getting any investment into the club. So it's not Klopp's fault at all. It's the club, right? And okay, they want to sell it and all of those things are up in the air. But so, I'm looking at it as Bellingham. I'm thinking, right, Liverpool don't know whether they're selling or they're not going. If they're not selling, they're not investing. Klopp can't seem to get the team back on track again. Maybe they've absolutely peaked. They're exhausted. United seem to be going places. They're in the right ballpark in terms of the table. They're going to have Champions League football. I'm going there. Yeah, and that's what I'd be doing.
What about Chelsea? Would Bellingham go to Chelsea?
No, I don't think he would. And I'll tell you why, because I was reading some stuff about that earlier on, and I think there seems to be a feeling that Chelsea have bought a lot of players, and to the point someone said earlier on, where do they all fit right now? And I think him coming in would think, well, where do I fit? Am I going to get half the games at Chelsea? If I go to United, I'm going to be first on the team sheet. I'm going to be playing. And I think that's the reason why we don't get a Bellingham and he goes to United or a Liverpool.
Rich, you got anything to say about the Liverpool answer there, where VJ said Man United? I mean, I look at Liverpool, massive bagel FC. Yeah, there's nothing in the middle. It's hollow, mate. You need to fill that hole there. Whatever you want to call them, right? I've had Polo FC, Bagel FC. I've had Dosai FC. I've had it all, mate. I mean, there's nothing in the middle at the moment. Bellingham walks into that team, mate, and he could be the next Stevie G for that club. Would you argue that Liverpool's a better project to join at the moment than United?
You know, when you say at the moment, that's the thing. Then it becomes United because Liverpool are just like we're so bad at the moment. But yeah, if I was Bellingham, I think everyone can see it. He walks into that midfield and he could just be. It could become, you know, it is the cliche, but he could become the Gerrard, and maybe, yeah. I don't know. It's hard because you don't know what they're telling him. They might be telling him, look, we will splash the cash, but it's going to be in the summer. You know, and this season's a write-off, but you're going to turn it around. We're going to get so and so to come in because it is our midfield. Our midfield is just the whole. I don't think the whole squad needs a massive upgrade. We're just talking about midfielders, but it's just happened to come that we're going to need all of them at once. So, but yeah, I hate to say it. I mean, but when you say at the moment, then yeah, Man United sort of look, you know, they've got that sort of on the upward trend. But I hope if Klopp's still there, it's Klopp, and you know they can sell it on the fact that he will probably be our midfield. If we add him, he'll probably be there for the next 10 years.
Would
Riggs,
you
just a
consider
question on
selling
that.
Salah? Sorry, go on.
Yeah, go.
I was going to say, would you consider selling Salah and doing a whole team rebuild around that
Yeah,
money?
it's funny you said that as well. I was talking to my mate about that and saying, I don't know, Salah turned into a paycheck player, or is it the fact that we had Firmino, Mane, and Salah for so long, and now it just all looks so disjointed up front as well. But I think it all does stem from the midfield. But yeah, we'll probably get onto it. I don't know if when we go into the Liverpool bit, but Mane's just a big loss as well.
Yeah, shall we do a
about
hashtag bring back Mane?
Yeah, it was a link.
Two players we should never have sold, like Gini Wijnaldum, but that almost it's weird to say it, but we obviously could have done the quadruple last year. But if you ask a lot of Liverpool fans, Wijnaldum still missed.
Yeah.
Was somehow able to paper over the cracks and go for 4 trophies. And then Mane's just like, we should have kept him. I would have kept him, and I don't think he would have sulked. And even if we got nothing for him at the end of the contract, I don't think he would have been one of those and done a bail and just sat and just, you know, not wanting to play.
Mane is one of the sort of best personalities in football. I think it's one of the things that if you're a young kid growing up and you see Mane, you say, you know what, you want to be a player like that. Not only are you brilliant on the pitch, you're actually brilliant off the pitch. And I think there's something there for a lot of young footballers to sort of take heed as well. I think you're literally a Declan Rice and a Bellingham away from sort of challenging again. And, you know, that's the reality. You need the investment now because the legs are gone and you need to find them.
Our midfielders look like they're like playing a veterans league, you know, and they've just been chucked into the Premier League now. They all look off the pace, all of them.
But Rings, what the hell is going on upstairs, man? Because listen, 9th spend in the net spend for the last 5 years. That's a joke, bruv. This is Liverpool Football Club, man. This is crazy.
Yeah, but that's what I was going to say, right? So you just said, right? A Bellingham and a Rice away from being, back to the greats of these last 5 years. But what's that going to cost Liverpool? I mean, if you take Enzo Fernandez, at 106 billion now, whatever it is, what's Bellingham going to cost them alone? He's not going to be less than that, is he? Surely.
No, he'll be a world record. I think he'll be close to 130, 135.
Enzo's gone for 110. What's Bellingham worth?
Yeah, what is Bellingham worth?
150, man.
More.
150, 140.
Yeah.
120.
I mean, Liverpool going to spend that sort of money. I mean, look, they got. I mean, we're going to come on to Liverpool in a bit. They got smashed by Wolves, didn't they? I mean, that's Liverpool looked pretty lost. Klopp looked pretty lost. He's going to need reinforcements. He can't go on. I mean, to a point where Klopp didn't even give an interview to the BBC. He just said, "I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say."
But guys, isn't that why Klopp is so great? Because he's got blood out of a stone with that squad. and he's literally bought the exact pieces, the Van Dijks, and when he bought in what's his name?
Alisson.
Alisson and Van Dijk in those 2 seasons, and then he's kind of brought in these youngsters. He's developed Elliott, he's developed Trent, he's developed Robertson, and now he's sitting there and you're going, what kind of a cycle is Liverpool in? I mean, it's like a yo-yo. It's like you go to the very top, right? You win everything in football that's worth winning, Champions League, Premier League, and then you just drop with this ninth spend. I mean, you're not building a stadium. Where's all the money going, Rinks? I mean, are these
No, so
owners?
I think you're right. They've almost lucked out with Klopp because they follow this sort of data model, buy young, still try to sell players with his value. And what a lot of people don't see is since Klopp's come in, he's obviously revamped the whole squad and we've bought players, but there's always been this steady stream of selling a lot of players, young players or players who weren't getting into the squad for decent money. So I think we sold Ryan Brewster for like 20 million to Sheffield United, and there's been loads of these little buys. We sold Ryan Kent to Rangers. I think it was like 10 million. We sold, like, the list goes on and on. But if you look at our squad now, we don't actually have that many. There aren't that too many of those players now to sell. So even when we've bought Nunes, we've sold Mane, sold a couple of other players. So it's all like it's always been this sort of one in, one out. We're always trying to recoup the money. And Bede said it. If the owners are trying to sell the club, do they now want to finally want to invest money and know that there might not be anything coming back? And it's because even in the summer, most Liverpool fans knew, like, our midfield, like Thiago, like he was not young when we bought him. And then we've basically got Milner, like you can see here, like our midfield's just like we've got Curtis, I don't rate. We've got Milner, who's old. We've got Carvalho, who's young. Chamberlain's always injured. Cater's always injured. It's like if there's 8 midfielders, Klopp was only ever playing 3 of them anyway, or trusted 3 of them. So yeah, I don't know. I think the stars have just aligned. Like you've got 3 midfielders who all seem to have aged at the same time over the last 7 months, and then our backup midfielders, we don't really have any.
But that's the,
we're relying on an 18-year-old now. Like if you look at the starting lineup,
we spoke about him last week.
Yeah, like, and even if you look at that midfield, that's not really a Klopp midfield. A Klopp midfield is 3 like hard-working players getting around the pitch. And my concern is now Klopp's not going to change it. He's going to continue with this 4-3-3 formation when we don't have players to play 3 in midfield to cover the pitch. And my concern is, I don't know, it's going to take a few more 3-0 losses, and then I don't know, will they sack him? I mean, I don't want. I'd keep him. I'd keep him until the end. But do you know what I mean? Like if we just keep taking these heavy defeats, then you know what it's like. It will just be like as he lost the dressing room, and
who
then
do you bring in?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't even thought about it. I'd keep Klopp unless we got relegated. I'd keep him. Even if we got relegated, I'd keep him.
But that's what you said.
Yeah.
But that's what you've said. You've just said, right, that the midfield ain't. You made a brilliant argument that the midfield ain't strong enough, right? Their age and that needs replenishment. But then you want to get rid of Klopp. I mean, that's not the answer. Klopp's got to be the right guy.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. I'm just saying my concern is because he's not changing the formation.
Yeah.
Like I would go with us playing 4-5-1 or 4-4-2.
Yeah.
And just play on the counter or something, because we are so easy to score against. Like Wolves never score. And Wolves could have scored more than 3 yesterday. Yeah. Everyone we play, everyone wants to play us. We're so easy to get at.
Wolves have scored 12 goals, haven't they?
Yeah, seriously. It was just like if they scored 2 in the first 12 minutes, they could have scored 4.
But I mean, they scored 12 goals. Yeah, they scored 12 goals all season, and they scored 25% of their goals against you lot, and they should have had more.
Yeah, that's it. So that's my only concern.
Don't score our own goals. It's the Harry Maguire of not doing it.
Riggs, how much are you missing Van Dijk? Because he was getting a lot of slack earlier in the season. We've had chats over this in a pub, about Van Dijk.
Yeah.
He's
Look,
slow. He's lost it. Now you're missing him, yeah.
I don't think he's obvious. I don't think he's at the level he was like probably before his injury. But I would also say I'm pretty sure if he comes back next week, like, of course, we will be better. But honestly, if you've got 3 midfielders providing no protection in that formation, I'll put money on us like Liverpool, Everton. Like, do you know what I mean? All of these games coming up, I'm like going through it now, thinking which one are we going to win?
That's what I'm thinking.
Boy, they're all tough.
And you know what? It's not even. It's literally only because I'm thinking everyone can score against us for fun.
Yeah.
So
I actually think you're right. I think once you start losing these games, people are going to go, "Hold on, we're Liverpool. We shouldn't be 14th in the league."
Yeah, and that's my worry, because I want to keep Klopp, but it's how long will it almost be allowed to go on? That's the problem.
Because actually, Everton, if they go 4-5-1 against you, like they did against Arsenal, what did they go? So I think at that point they will overpower your midfield because and that's the high press. So you can see them just hitting you with a long ball, and one person out of position, Calvert-Lewin will score. So
set pieces, corners, they're deadly, mate.
And the last 2 games, I mean, look, I know it's the end of the games, but against Liverpool, I don't think it's ever happened. But the crowd were olaying. Like it was just. I think Wolves must have put like 50 passes together at the end, and you're just thinking, yeah. I need a whiskey.
That's when you want Roy Keane to come in and just do the Alfing Haaland.
I'm just looking at your form here. You're pretty low, obviously. We know Liverpool are going through a really tough patch, Riggs. I don't think Klopp's had this bad a form ever. Not at Liverpool in recent years that I can remember, where you've had this kind of form, where 1 win in 7 games.
Yes, it's the first time in 10 years we've lost 3 in a row in the Premier League away.
That's mad.
Yeah,
that's mad.
I was just looking at that graphic. Wolves are giving you a hard time, haven't they, recently?
Brighton as well, man. Brighton love us as well.
And Brighton.
The animals don't like you.
The animals, even the bumblebees came along and stung them as well, man. The hornets. The thing is, like, they're just wounded at the moment. And do you think? Have you ever seen Klopp in this mood before, Riggs? Because I'm watching Klopp, and he looks like a dead man walking to me.
Yeah,
man.
and that is a concern as well. Like he's, like Vij was saying, he's not answering questions. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's
Do you feel for him? He's between a rock and a hard place. He's set the highest standards in how many years as a Liverpool manager? You could argue he's the second best manager ever. And then he's got this FSG, which he doesn't publicly want to in any way blame. But internally, he's thinking, what do I do with these players? I've got aged players. I've got youngsters that have no experience. I've got this big, giant club on my shoulders. I mean, where do you think internally, he must be blaming the board? Surely he's thinking, how can he keeps saying net spend? He said it regarding the Chelsea recent window. He said net spend, net spend. Do you think he's just politically being correct and internally he's raging at FSG just like the fans?
He's got, I mean, he's got to be just like I said last summer. It was there. It was obvious. Like we needed players. Like our midfield, it was already creaking. But yeah, I don't know. Like they've always been running that tightrope, and now, do you know what I mean? It's going the way they don't want it to go. I think they were lucky. I think it was almost like the Wenger scenario. Like I know it's only been 7 years, being with Wenger, like not spending any money and it's guaranteed you top 4. I don't know if the Liverpool owners are there to win the league every year. Now that might sound odd. As fans, we want to win the league every year, but as owners, they know they can't compete with City. So I think they run it in a way to go, we're not going to overspend. We're lucky to have Klopp. We won the league. And if you don't win it for 3 or 4 years, it's not a big deal. But if we go for one and we get another title, all good and well. We get another Champions League, all good and well. But they're not going to break the bank to do it. And I think as Liverpool fans, it's hard to sort of accept that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Sage, are you looking at this Liverpool team, right? And obviously that Arsenal finishing above Liverpool, that's guaranteed. Almost, there's no way Arsenal are going to finish below probably second.
Is it
Um,
mathematically impossible now?
It
Yeah.
might be. It might not be, Rinks. It might not be, mate. You might have to. You might have to go and put a bomb in the Arsenal dressing room, mate, for that one to happen, mate. I don't think there's any other way. But Sage, if you're looking at this, do you look at this and you think, as a manager, sometimes the Artetas, the Klopps, they need a bit of Conte in them. They need a bit of Jose in them. They need to go and stink out the place, as per Rinks's comments about the system and changing it up. Do you think sometimes doing an Everton and a Dyche is what's needed at this stage just to get the results? Or do you think you stick at your plan A and just stick with the same system?
Nah, I agree with Rinks. Like, you have to switch it up after a while, man. You're taking too many L's now, to be honest with you. And it's a funny thing about the whole aging midfield thing, because I've got many Liverpool mates and I've told them exactly 2 seasons ago, I said, you guys need to be careful they don't revamp the entire midfield, because they're all aging and they're not going to be playing the way they play for like 4 years from now, 3 years from now. Unfortunately, it's come early, and I do feel for Liverpool a bit, because if Van Dijk didn't get that injured, I don't think the defense will be at shambles like this. I'm not gonna lie to you, but Klopp needs to take accountability that the system's not working. You got to switch it up. You got to change it up. If you're not getting the backing from the board, you got to do something on the pitch tactically to help you out. So I feel like he's got to switch it up. If he doesn't, Liverpool are nowhere near getting Europe this season. Nowhere near. If they need to switch it up, big time.
All right, let's look at this quickly then. Let's look at this Liverpool team. And Hash, if you can come in next as well. Sage, what are you doing to this team, bro? How are you switching this up? Because what are you saying? 3 at the back with a couple of wing backs, the Conte way, with the 5 at the back with the 2 holding. I mean, what would you do with this bunch?
Mate, like, even like this I can never pronounce his name. The Stefan Paris, this guy, like, he can't be in the middle right there like that. I just don't understand that. And I know he got subbed on, and the substitutions, like, I just don't understand what Klopp's doing. The 5 in the back system could work, but Trent's got to work, and Trent's just been poor this season. I don't think he can do the job in right back. He needs to be benched.
He's a right wing back for me, man. He's not a right back.
He's a wing back. Even that, if you put him wing back, you're gonna rely on Matip to like really back him up next to him.
No, I wouldn't I wouldn't even put Trent anywhere near right back. I don't know about you, Rinks, but for me, defensively, it's just too much, man. I think teams look to exploit that side, knowing that Trent doesn't know where his left from his right is.
Yeah. I mean, look, even last year, when we were going for 4 trophies, any team who played us, it was just easy as anything. It would always be crossfield pass over Trent's head. That's it. Every single time. It's like like Madrid scored that way in the finals along the ground, but it was the same sort of thing. I think this season, it's just last season, at least our midfield was working. But I think all of the back 4, even when Van Dijk was in this season, everyone looks exposed. And if anything, it's just making everyone look shit at the back.
I think what you need is like someone like a Thomas Partey, someone like a Casemiro, those type of players in that midfield.
Yeah. But
that type of player changes the whole everything. Changes everything.
Yeah. Fabinho was our Casemiro, but he's not at that level now. And I just think you just got to have 4 in midfield or 5 in midfield.
That's the missing piece. That's the missing piece, I think. Just that player like Casemiro, like Thomas Partey. Yeah, just those type of players that comes into the midfield and just bosses it.
Yeah, I don't think this.
Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead, G.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. You go, buddy.
I was just going to say, I think Trent is one of the best assister in the sort of Premier League, right? There's no question on this, yeah? Everybody plays him at right back, but if you were a manager, you want to try and convert him to play a little bit further afield. because when he puts a ball in, you'd imagine anyone else. Yeah, if you had a Harry Kane on the end of the sort of service that kid could provide, he will get you goals. And I think this is where Klopp needs to switch it up, because Andrew Robertson, when he came from Hull, the guy was on fire, right? And he has been on fire for a number of seasons. So even though Trent's getting exposed on that wing, Robertson's getting exposed on the other wing, because there's no covering of those two backs, right? There's no people coming back to get those positions for them, because when they're bombing on, it's the same thing that happens to Kyle Walker, right, at City. You want to switch it, bang. He's been doing that since Sheffield United days. So I think it's the thing is, if you've got somebody who can put that many assists in, and you've got a player like Nunes, who I don't know which black cats he's run over, but he can't score for love nor money. But genuinely, if you've got that many chances being created, you'd be scoring more goals. It would be like the Newcastle of old. You'd score more, yes, you'd concede, but you'd score more than you'd concede, and that would get you results.
Because that's the other thing as well now. We don't even look like we're going to score. That Salah's got no confidence. Nunes, it's almost like an Andy Cole, needs like 5 chances, probably worse than Andy Cole, needs more chances than him to score. Yeah, it's and that's the Mane thing as well. So Mane's not there to protect Robertson, but you know what I mean? He'd work. Diaz came in and he's still super raw, but the guy puts a shift in and he's injured. So, you know, like Nunes doesn't work. He's not the same player. Doesn't work in the same way.
Jota's the same. I mean, I don't see anything of Jota. Is he injured?
Yeah, he's injured as well.
Yeah,
He's been unfortunate because he's got an amazing record for us. He's brilliant whenever he plays, but he's been injured a lot. So, yeah, it's just don't want to keep harping on about it. But yeah,
did you really need Gakpo, mate? Was that a signing that you were happy with, or would that money could have been spent somewhere else better? Do you reckon than on the pitch?
I think they bought him because computer said good deal. You know, the data, the stats, all of that was, what did we buy him for? 35, and it was like too good to pass on, and they bought him.
So who's making the decisions up there then? Have you got a head of recruitment? Have you got a sporting director? How does it work?
Yes, I think it's that model, but ultimately it's all data driven. You know, they follow that Moneyball, you know, that model, and everyone could argue if you know, up until now it's worked, right? But I don't know now how much of it is, you know, even if the computer says yeah, how much of it is, you know, they need something to offset. They want the money coming back in and they can't see anything. So hence why we're not maybe going out and bidding for Casado, or, you know, because there was loads of rumours about Casado that went on and on and on, but nothing came of it.
Yeah, I thought Amrabat would have been a good one, man. You could have put some good money on the table for that. And he, you know, World Cup, he had an amazing World Cup for Morocco.
Yeah.
I think he's going to, I don't know what the rumours are. I think he's going to Spain, Amrabat. But he looked amazing in the World Cup. And I remember me and you watching a game saying, you know, Amrabat, that Liverpool midfield. But it's just, you know what, in the world of football where there's so many consultants and experts and at the end of the day, every fan out there can see Liverpool need a midfielder, a DM, a proper DM. Like Arsenal went for Caicedo because they know they need someone to back up Thomas Partey. Why didn't Liverpool go for that midfield? And it lies with the board. It can't lie with Klopp, right? Because Klopp's not blind. Klopp's obviously handcuffed, not blind. Yeah, it sounds like Klopp doesn't get what he wants. And for me, mate, the only way I see this going is 2 ways. Because Klopp could get eaten up by a big club that wants to make him the Arteta, that put him in there with a sporting director, you know, with one of the chief execs and say, go, there's 500 million, go and spend it. You know, Chelsea would love a Klopp. You know, you know, but
that might not be off the table.
Yeah, I know. You could see that happening.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. But Liverpool's problems aren't far away, right? Like we said, you know, Gakpo was not a signing they needed. Who signed that one off? I mean, we're talking about Todd Bowley sort of, you know, signing stuff off without maybe Potter agreeing to all of it. Seems a similar thing there. So they spent the money. You know, they spent the money on Nunez. They spent, what was it, 80 odd million on Nunez? With everything all in?
we sold Mane as well, and then we sold a couple of other players. So it wasn't.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, but I know the model that Liverpool want, right? You know, especially if you sell a homegrown player, it sort of adds, you know, from an FF point of view, it's really, really nice, isn't it? Because all that money is effectively written off as total profit. But the thing is, at the end of the day, if you're not in Champions League, you're not even Europa League football, you're not bringing in that money. And Liverpool should be there as a club, right? And
But that's a solid point, VJ, because actually the reality is you didn't need a Nunes, you probably didn't need a Gakpo, you needed a midfield, and that's where that money strategically should have been spent, right? Like if anybody else was looking at that, they would have gone, yeah, you know what, we can make it work with Jota and Salah and maybe one more, right? And I think that would have still happened. I think losing Mane, you've lost an element of culture in Liverpool where you've lost a really good player, you haven't replaced him for like, and that starts then trickling down as well. And as I said, Milner, we're just going to bring him out in Rocky 17.
Wijnaldum
unbreakable.
Wijnaldum was the one, wasn't it, Rick? So I remember you telling me last year, we were sitting down having a drink talking about it. I remember Rick saying Wijnaldum, Liverpool fans forget how good and important that man was to our midfield. And we let him go to PSG, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And, you know, who's making these decisions about Mane and Wijnaldum, key pieces in your cog, and someone's signing it off. And for me, that tells me one thing, and trust me as a Spurs fan, I know about difficult owners. That means that the link between Klopp and FSG is non-existent. You go down to across the road in Arsenal's case, you got Josh Kroenke, you got the other guy, you know, the finance guy, you've got Edu, you've got a proper club there, man. There's 6 or 7 people maximum. There's not even too many passengers. It's just a nice unit of 4 or 5 people that sit down in a normal room and they discuss their strategy. And we saw that in All or Nothing. I would love to see the All or Nothing behind Klopp's team. I would love to see that, mate, because I think you've got one of the best managers in this current era of football generation. I mean, what he's done with Liverpool is unbelievable. I went to Madrid. I see you in that Premier League. And you saw his subs bench throughout that season. You had luck with injuries. You won that.
Yeah,
massively. A bit like Arsenal need that luck with their subs bench this season. Yeah, it's the same thing. But he made it happen, right? And I remember, what's his name? Brendan Rodgers taking you close before. And Klopp come in, he smashed it, right? And literally, these stupid owners are looking at the best thing that's ever happened to them, and they're not backing him. And they're putting the club for sale. And do you think the club's actually for sale? And I say this to United fans, or are these owners just buying time? Just so they can sit back and
they're just buying time. In Glazer's case, they take 25 million a year out of the club, right? Every time they say that they're going to sell the club, the stock market price goes up. Yeah. And then ultimately they cash out even more in terms of the dividend. So United are pretty much like fed up with it. There's all these conversations going on. I think 4 or 5 billion will make sure that that deal sort of takes place for United, because that's where the value is. And I think that's where Liverpool's value is, right? It's in that sort of region. And ultimately, you've got to go and find those people who are going to back that club. What you want is a super fan who's a billionaire. And if you get a super fan who's a billionaire that's going to back Liverpool, I can see them straight back into the Champions League places. Because it's only going to go one way. Your fan base is too big globally for Liverpool not to survive, right? You've got the Beatles.
It's a sad story. Yeah. It's a sad story, man. I look at Liverpool and I just think to myself, if that was my club, I'm pissed right now that we won't make top 4. And that's me as a Spurs fan. If I had won the Premier League, the Champions League in the last few seasons, and I had Klopp, mate, I'll be outside Anfield now throwing eggs at those offices, bro. Because you know what? To be 9th in the net spend, Liverpool fans, you know, bless them, they've probably got used to failure this season, and that can just make it the norm. And then you just end up thinking it is what it is. But come on, man, like, where are the protests? The Glaziers, yeah? United fans turned up, they invaded that pitch, and they let them know what the situation is. What's happening with these Liverpool fans? Are they protesting? Are they doing anything? Like, seriously, Everton seem to be protesting more than Liverpool. And I just feel like the money on the board is low. It's 9th. You know, the results are shit because of the personnel, lack of personnel, and the lack of refreshing that squad. Are Liverpool fans actually protesting, or do you think they're just being grateful for this amazing journey they had with Klopp?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't think it's been the same experience as the Glazers. So I don't think you've gonna. So they've built up the stadium, like in terms of the capacity. They're building it now, as in it's going to grow even more. New training facilities. So, and then obviously we've had success as well. It's not like, you know, it's pretty much been positive, right, up until last summer. So yeah, I don't think you're going to see protesters just yet. But maybe, I don't know, if we got to the summer and again there was like zero investment, then yeah, let's see. And they sack Klopp or something.
Yeah.
Then I think you'll probably maybe Do you know what I mean? You start seeing protesters come up to go, hang
Mm.
on, you're getting rid of Klopp. Whoever comes in, whoever you get, you assume they're going to give him money then.
Yeah, 100%. Sage, what are you saying on Liverpool before we close off and go into the quiz? I'm going to wait for Hash to get back and then we'll do the quiz quickly. How do you look at Liverpool? Is it a broken club? Is it? I mean, how do you sum it up, man, from an Arsenal fan's point of view?
I just think this is just Liverpool's struggling period. They're just going through a tough time at the moment. And knowing Klopp and knowing Liverpool's history, they'll bounce back from this. Not saying it's going to be for now. I think it's going to take probably a transfer window. And if Klopp does get back in, they'll be back. But right now, it's just not looking good. It's not looking good.
Do you blame the owners? Do you blame the manager? Who do you blame in this?
You know what? I'm going to be different and say I do blame the manager, but I blame both of them. I blame both of them. Both of them got player catalysts into the failure at the moment. If the manager knows what he's doing, he gets it right, Liverpool are good. If the owners are doing what's needed to be done and Klopp gets the funds and the backing, they'll get it right. Both of them are not doing that. So I believe it's both of them.
It's both of them. And Hash, quickly with you, who do you blame more, man? The manager or the owners at Liverpool? What's your view on it?
The manager. Because if you think about it, they went all out for Nunes, he hasn't performed. They could have they should went all out for CDM. So if they went all out for CDM, Firmino could be up top. It's not a problem. You know, he's technical. He reminds me, a bit of a Jesus type.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can't blame the board as well, not missing the amount of money. But think about it, they spent about how much? 130 mil, 120 mil. We spent last season 120 mil, but we bought in 5 players.
Yeah,
we bought Ben White, Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, and we bought another 2 players on top of that. But those 5 players, 3-4 of them, stood out.
Yeah.
Same thing that Liverpool could have done. Liverpool could have not spent 8 million Nunes. They should have bought a proper CDM back up to Fabinho. Another right back. Right back. So Trent, you've seen him. He's not performing well. Probably another left back. And probably just a attacker loan somewhere. That's what I think they should have done. I think the signings from the summer weren't good enough. And maybe January they should have strengthened. Like we didn't get our plan A targets, but we got plan B. But it's worked out for Arsenal. If you look at it, all our plan B targets worked out. In the summer, we tried to go for Lissandro Martinez. That didn't happen. We got Zinchenko. He played, worked out better for us. So, I think it's the signings.
Same with United. United got their B targets, didn't they? They went for Timber. They got Martinez.
Yeah.
You went for, I can't remember who it was, but you had a plan behind the plan. Do you think just Liverpool don't have that?
I don't think they do. And my problem here, and this is what I think Klopp stopped trying. Because if you, as a manager, it doesn't matter how world class you are, it's like you going to a job, right? You're really good at what you do, but your heart's not in it. Yeah, you're just going to go through the motions, and it does feel a little bit like Klopp's going through the motions. He's not putting out a team there to win. He's not switching it up. He's not changing it around. And I don't care what the team is. You can get a game out of the players, right? Like you've got academies, players as well. Everybody raves on about Harvey Elliott. I do not see it. I genuinely do not see it, right? And everyone talks that, you've got Henderson, who is amazing for England. Okay. But actually, the thing is, I think Klopp stopped trying. And when he's left the building, right, in his mind, it's just a matter of time before that plug's pulled. But in that time, Liverpool are just going to go on a steady decline until such a point where you get happy with being bang average. And that's not where Liverpool wants to be. So I think there's just been some fundamental issues which need rooting out, and ultimately that starts with, unfortunately, Klopp having to move on.
Yeah, nicely started. VJ, finally with you, mate. Board or the manager takes more than him?
I actually, as much as Klopp winds me up when they're winning, I think it's a partial blame on Klopp, but mostly on the board. I think that he's not been backed as a manager. I still don't think that the 2 signings we spoke about, Gakpo and Nunez, he signed off on them. If he has, then yes, then he's more to blame. But yeah, I mean, look, Liverpool will bounce back. Took them 30 years to bounce back from the last one, so hopefully it's the same again, and even longer, in my opinion.
Oh, mate. Chelsea fans never change, eh? Right, lads, let's do a nice little quiz, and then we're going to finish off with the Spurs Man City game. And guys, no Siri, no Google, no calling someone in the room or calling a friend. So I'm going to load up the quiz. And the way we're going to do this quiz is I'm going to pick a question in no particular order, and then I'm just going to go around the room, and guys, just say your answers. Don't copy anyone else. Go with your heart, Hash, this time, not with your head, mate, or the other way around. Whichever way around. Right, let's go with the first question. And Hash, let's get you on straight away, bruv. Most hat-tricks in the Premier League ever in the history of the Premier League since 1992. Henry, Mr. Arsenal, Rooney, Mr. Manu, or Aguero? I should have done the Aguero voice. Aguero. But yeah, one of those three. One of those three is the correct answer. Don't do a Vix and give me something that's
Henry.
Henry. All right, wicked. Next, let's go with G.
Henry.
Henry. Sage.
I'm gonna go with Aguero.
Wow. Okay. VJ.
I'm gonna go with Henry.
Henry and Rinks.
Aguero.
Okay. Does anyone want to change their answers? You have a few seconds to do so. Anyone?
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll go Aguero.
So we've got 3 Agueros and 2 Henrys.
Hat trick of Agueros.
Yeah, I can't say what I think because I know, but when I saw it, I was wrong. And I went with the other half of the room, which was Henry. The answer is Aguero. Aguero has the most hat-tricks in the Premier League.
50-50 on that one. Yeah.
How many hat-tricks is it, Josh?
I don't know, man, bruv. You know what? I did this in a couple of minutes.
It's
Man.
probably
Did
like
you use
12 or
Google,
15
Josh?
or something.
Yeah. It was tight, man. It was tight. But Aguero
Use Man City doc.
Yeah,
Man City
exactly.
fan page.
I'm sure. What's his name? Haaland's not far behind, lads, man. I think he's had about 4 or something like that this season. That would have been a good question.
He's had
as well.
4. Yeah.
He's had 4, man. But all 3 of those players, amazing. And quickly before I move to the next question, top down to bottom, I think I know the answers from the Arsenal fans and the United fan. But let's go with who was the greatest striker out of those 3, starting from the top down to the bottom. Rinks, go for it, bruv.
Oh, what have Henry, Rooney, and Aguero?
Yeah, who's your all-time great overall?
Out of those 3, you know what? Aguero, man. I always loved Aguero. Henry was, do you know what I mean? If I was going to order it, I'd probably do Aguero, Henry, Rooney.
Yeah, fair enough. Aguero, Rooney, and Henry. So you're saying that's your favorite 3. Hash, I know what's going to come from your mouth, but you might as well tell me.
Henry, Rooney, Aguero.
Henry, Rooney, Aguero. VJ.
Henry, Aguero, Rooney.
Wow, putting Rooney at the bottom. Wow. Okay. And G.
I would say Henry, Rooney, Aguero.
And Sage.
Henry, Rooney, Aguero.
Wow, is that Henry, Rooney, Aguero takes it? So most not fancying Aguero and finishing last on that list. Let's go with the next question. Nice, easy one for everyone to get right. Who has won more Ballon d'Ors? Let's start from Rinks and go all the way down.
That's Messi, right?
I don't know.
I'm almost certain it's Messi.
I don't know, man. Right, Messi. Hash.
Messi.
VJ.
Messi.
You lot are crazy, man. G.
I'll go Ronaldo just for the fun of it.
Why not, mate? Why not? Sage.
Lionel Messi.
Lionel
It's
Messi, the
definitely
man.
It's
The
probably
man.
a draw, isn't it?
Nah. There's no draws in these, mate. There's no draws.
Oh.
There's no wild cards, man. There's no trick questions. So Messi's the answer. He has more Ballon d'Ors. And from bottom to up, your favorite player, the 2, starting with Sage.
Ah,
And quickly,
Messi.
why as well? I want to know why.
Messi.
Why?
You want to know why? I feel like Messi can do it all. We've seen him score headers. We've seen him score goals outside the box. We've seen him do it at the World Cup. Ronaldo still hasn't done it for me internationally. Sorry to say, man. Yes, he won the European Cup, but Messi's won everything he could possibly win. So, gotta give it to Messi, man. Messi's that guy.
Go on, G. Give us
I
something.
would say Ronaldo. Apart from this last season where he's obviously fallen off a cliff, the goals he scored for Real Madrid, the sort of 5 clubs that he's appeared at, and that season where he scored over 42 goals for United. You know, I've never seen a better player in my life, and I don't think I've ever seen Messi. To be fair, I thought he was jammy in winning the World Cup. That's my take on it. But no, I genuinely think Ronaldo, as a machine, as a unit, an absolute mentality beast, as you know, Klopp would say. But yeah, Ronaldo for me.
VJ.
Yeah, it's very similar. I think Ronaldo, I think the World Cup aside for a little while, I think Ronaldo, everywhere he's turned up, he's absolutely smashed it. He's been second to none, no matter which country, which club he's done it. And for me, Ronaldo just about does it for me.
Hash.
Oh, Ronaldo. This is just most clutch player all time. I've seen him against Bayern Munich, and against Atletico Madrid, scoring a hat trick there. I remember that. It's just the most clutch player ever.
Fair enough. Rinks.
Messi, man.
Why'd you say that?
I don't know. I think it's just he's got that gift from God, man. Like, all players might have a good left foot, right foot, might be good at free kicks. You can go through the list of all the qualities, right? He's the only one who can do the thing that we all want to do as kids: dribble past everyone and score. That for me, that was just that's like no one else has that quality.
Fair play, mate. I'm going to go Ronaldo just about because I think he made himself who he is. And I think he was less talented than Messi. I think Messi, like you said, was born with an amazing talent. And basically, that guy could just wake up any day of the week and just do what he does, without even training. Was Ronaldo built his body, he's a machine. I don't like what he did with Piers Morgan recently, and he stuck Man United under a bus. But there are Man United fans that turn around and say, do you know what? We needed Ronaldo to come out and say it how it is. Because that way people listen, it makes news, it makes headlines. And this club needs someone like Ronaldo to put it out there. In terms of how broken it is. But saying that, since he left, you've been on an amazing run, G, haven't you?
Yeah.
So
I mean, to be honest, the Piers Morgan thing was, I don't know if anybody kind of really listened to it. He was basically challenging United's hierarchy to say, fire me, right? Like, fire me. And they essentially had to. He left us with no position. And ultimately, when players do that, and I thought the most disrespectful thing was when he walked out halfway through a game or at the end of the game, he just walked off when his other players were still fighting on the pitch. I think, for me, you're gone. Like, at that moment, you're gone. Like,
Tottenham, wasn't it? Didn't he refuse to come on?
Yeah. So anything that goes against authority like that, you're gone. Fergie wouldn't have it, and Ten Hag won't have it.
But not being funny, do you bring Ronaldo on with 2 minutes to go?
No.
So does he not have a right to sit there and go, you taking me for a joke here? I'm Cristiano Ronaldo.
No, they should have sold him. Like, I'm not saying they shouldn't have sold him, but he essentially got forced out. And I think it's a sad way to see such a great player to go from United. As I said, that season he brought so much joy in winning everything, and I think at that point, he shouldn't have gone the way he did.
Yeah. I don't know about the rest of the panel. Does anyone else disagree or agree with the whole Ronaldo
No,
interview?
totally agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. He was trying to get himself out of United, and he won, didn't he? Because within a few days, his contract was torn up. Right, let's finish these questions, lads. Talking of Ronaldo and winning trophies, Manchester United, Chelsea, or Liverpool, which team has won the most European trophies? Now, this is all time. So from the day football began, which team has more silverware in Europe? Starting with Rinks, and then we'll work our way down to the bottom.
So Liverpool.
You could have sounded more positive, man. A bit deflated after we ripped into them for about 45 minutes, but it is what it is. Hash.
Liverpool.
Liverpool, VJ.
Yeah, Liverpool.
Liverpool, yeah. And United, United or Liverpool?
I don't want to say it, but Liverpool.
The one thing Man United fans hate when Liverpool bring up that European trophy history, innit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one, isn't it? Or two? I don't even think it's that many.
There's only one in it, but I always hop back to 1999.
1999. Yeah. They've got more Champions Leagues than you as well, right, G?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Kings of Europe. The Kings of Europe, man.
The,
Liverpool,
the,
Kings
the,
of
the
Europe.
magic of Istanbul will always stay with us. And so will Gerrard Slip, so I'll take that.
Yeah, I think Anfield under the lights. We all have to agree. Anfield under the lights.
That stays with all of us.
Yeah, yeah, Istanbul. And Sage, you're not going to give us a surprise answer. What are you going to go for on that one?
Obviously, it's Liverpool.
It's Liverpool. Wicked. Right, lads, that was an easy one. Now, this one over here at the bottom, the red card question. How many, not even how many, who has had more red cards in Premier League history? So I've put a United man in there. I've put an Arsenal man in there. And I've put John Terry, a Chelsea man. Three of the greatest players in their positions of all-time Premier League history. We could be here all night talking about Vieira and Keane. And I loved watching them in my younger days. But let's start from Sage to the bottom up. And the question is, Sage, how many, I need to stop saying that. Who's had more red cards in Premier League history? Keane, Vieira, or John Terry, mate?
That's a difficult one. But you know what? I have a sneaky feeling that it's Roy Keane, you know.
Okay.
I think it's Roy Keane. Yeah.
G?
I think it's Vieira.
Wow. Look at you United and Arsenal fans trying to put it on each other. I mean, you've both got the dirty players there. VJ? John Terry?
Yeah, no, it's not Terry. I think football back in the Roy Keane days and Vieira days was a little bit different. I think Vieira for me as well.
Fair enough. Hash? Hash, you there? Can you guys hear him?
No.
No, it's cutting out a bit.
Ash, put your left hand up for Vieira and your right hand up for Keane. Don't put both up. Oh, his left hand. So he's going Vieira. Is that a nod? Love it, mate. Going with your head. Rinks, what are you saying?
I reckon Vieira.
Vieira, okay.
Yeah.
Anyone want to change their answers before I let you know? You're all wrong. You know what? It's not John Terry. It is Patrick Vieira. He's the dirtiest player ever in the Premier League. But you wouldn't take it away from him because that man was something on the pitch, as well as Roy Keane. I don't know about you guys. Quality players, man. I mean, absolutely brilliant players. And I remember that Sky Sports footage when Keano's coming out and Vieira and Keane have that nice little bust up. Was that at Old Trafford, G?
It was, yeah. And you also had Jose Antonio Reyes, who was playing striker in one of the games. I remember someone taking him out. And when he landed, you could hear him scream from the halfway line into the microphone. Right. Wow. So these players were dirty as anything. But this is the team that had Overmars, Emmanuel Petit, Robert Pires. This was some Arsenal team. And, sometimes you just have to foul them. We wouldn't get through otherwise. So, no, he was class, man.
You know what, Sage? That Keown Van Nistelrooy, when he sort of clotheslined him, didn't he? Was that when was that? Yeah. Was that when? What happened then? Remind me, man. I'm trying to think what it was. Martin Keown.
Yeah, it's been a minute as well. I'm trying to remember what exactly happened. I can't remember what happened. Was something happened before that to trigger that? I can't remember exactly. It's been a minute. I think
he missed a pen, Van Nistelrooy.
Yeah, Van Nistelrooy missed the pen. So basically, yeah, that is to do with Patrick Vieira, obviously. Obviously, they both went up for a header, Van Nistelrooy and Patrick Vieira. Van Nistelrooy didn't really jump, and obviously Patrick jumped, and he kind of landed awkwardly because of how Van Nistelrooy was positioned, and he kind of blamed him for that. And no, I think it was the other way around, actually. And Van Nistelrooy got a free kick for it, and then Vieira wasn't happy or something like that. I can't remember what exactly happened, but it started with Vieira and Van Nistelrooy. And then Patrick kicked out, got himself sent off. Arsenal players felt like Van Nistelrooy was looking for that. And then as soon as he missed that penalty, they couldn't believe it, and they got gassed and wanted to elbow him and hurt him and all sorts. Even though I don't condone that, that's one side of Arsenal I don't like. I don't condone that. But I understand why they did that. It's the passion.
Love it. I love seeing that. And that will stay in our
we
memories.
We miss our French guy. He used to karate kick people in the stands.
Cantona.
Listen, you know what? That day, did Keown get sent off, or was it just a telling off?
It was just a telling off.
See, today that would have been something else, man. That would have been, you know what I mean? Yeah, that would have been
Assault on all
definitely
the
a bang.
sorts.
Yeah, VJ, just remind me, Chelsea, any big bus stops that, where you're thinking that was a big fight, I remember the Battle of the Bridge with Spurs kicking off a few times. But any other ones?
I think that one's probably the biggest one. I think, that was the one where we stopped you winning the title. That's the season that Leicester went on to win it. You should have had 9 yellow cards. I think the ref even admitted afterwards that Spurs were absolutely lost their heads in it. There was all sorts going on. I think it was finger pokes the lot, right? I think that was the biggest one actually that comes to mind right now. Yeah.
Because Chelsea haven't got a proper rival like that, have they? They've got a few rivals, but you haven't got a proper sort of deadly rival, have you? No.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. If you talk about United, Liverpool, United, Arsenal, that sort of rivalry. Yeah, definitely that's old school. But yeah, Spurs is definitely the one that we hate the most.
Yeah, we're in the middle, man. We got Arsenal here. Everyone hates us. Everyone hates Tottenham, man. West Ham hate us. Yeah. Arsenal hate us. Chelsea hate us. I mean, we're like probably the most hated club in London, let alone maybe even the Premier League. Rinks, any big bus stops that you can remember as a Liverpool fan? So you've grown up as a boy, maybe going back to the good days of maybe even Souness, because I heard he was a bit of a rough guy, wasn't he? He'd get stuck in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's going way back, but growing up, I think it was more silky football. Do you know what I mean? But I don't remember. I don't think there's too many bus stops, to be honest. Nothing comes to mind.
Maybe Carragher. Yeah.
I mean, most maybe with a bit of United. Do you know what I mean? Back and forth with Neville.
You had Dieter Hallman, didn't you? You had that guy, the German dude, decided to chop us for no reason. Yeah, I mean, once we got Gary Neville running up all the way to show his badge for the
In terms of manager bust up, I tell you what, when Wenger got sent to the fans and you couldn't zip up his jacket, man, that was
hilarious.
That was comedy, man. Sage, you must have been watching that as well, laughing your head off, even as an Arsenal fan. Wenger's up there, he's gone in the wrong bit, and he's trying to, mate, love Arsene Wenger.
Oh, mate. Yeah, no, I miss that guy. Honestly, I do miss him, man. I miss that guy, man. Good memories.
He'll be there when you win the league, Sage.
Yeah, of course. He has to be there, man. He has to be there holding the trophy with us.
Oh, they need to name a stand after him, man. Can you imagine that?
Oh, no, he needs a trophy outside. Not trophy. He needs his own statue outside.
Statue.
Come on.
Yeah.
Wenger out underneath that, do you know what I mean?
Nah.
You know what? I've never seen fans drive a manager out of a club like the Arsenal fans drove out Wenger, man. That was mad.
Yeah, it's a tough period, but I think it was time, man. It was time for him to go, man. It was just not going well. It was just rinse and repeat every year, nothing improving. Yeah, man. Time for some new evolution. We got Arteta now.
Yeah, you just hope Liverpool don't drive out Klopp, like, you know what I mean, for the wrong reasons, as we were saying before. All right, lads, it's late. Let's quickly finish with Manchester City versus Tottenham. Let's go around the room. Rinks, VJ, G, and then Sage. What are your thoughts on the game and what's happened to Man City, man? I mean, too predictable with Haaland. Lost their way, lost the Man City way. What's going on with those guys, man? I mean, it just looks a bit broken to me.
I think it might. I think G said it earlier on. I think it might be Pep just overthinking it. Pep loves doing it. He just overthinks all the time. Just tries to be too clever for his own good.
Yeah.
Like first Sterling, just eventually left. You got Cancelo. I mean, how many clubs would want Cancelo? I mean,
we would take him. Bloody hell, it'd be an upgrade on.
Everyone would have taken Cancelo. So I think it's part of that. I think he just overthinks it. And to be honest, I wish he'd done it when Liverpool were challenging him for the title, because then fucking they would get 100 points every year.
He did it in the Champions League final, didn't he, against Chelsea as well?
Yeah, even before, even actually when he was at Bayern Munich against Barca, like he just overthink it.
Yeah, you just sort of wonder. We talked about Arsenal earlier on. You just sort of wonder, like, are Arsenal winning it because Arsenal are good? They're obviously decent, or are City just a little bit off the boil and Arsenal are taking advantage of that? Sort of. Yeah, I totally agree with what you said. I think Pep's overthinking everything, trying to be too smart, and being basically found out by himself.
Too
Yeah.
much experimenting.
Yeah.
I agree. I think there's a whole piece here as well that there's an arrogance that sort of surrounds him, and there's an element of giving away Zinchenko and who's has to Arsenal and saying, right, we can still beat you and win the league, right? That's probably what was going through his head, because I can't imagine people sanctioning those sort of transfers between Man United and Liverpool at the height of when we were trying to fight for the league. So I think there's a lot of there's almost a grandiose narcissism, that goes with Pep, in the sense that he believes he's bigger than anything, and his record, unfortunately, proves he's an outstanding manager. But he can get it wrong. I agree with VJ. There's no way Kevin De Bruyne starts on the bench. No way. One of the best players of the ball to somebody like Haaland. No, I think he got it wrong.
Yeah, fair play, mate. Sage, how are you looking at Pep? How are you summing him up, man? Do you agree with the rest of the panel on what they've been saying?
Yeah, I agree with the rest of the panel. He's a bit arrogant. He's got that sort of sense that we don't need you, we don't cooperate with us, with the whole bust up with Cancelo. And there's a lot of reports in the camp saying that Bernardo Silva's not happy there either. He wanted to leave.
Foden.
Yeah, and then obviously Foden not being in form and then just not getting no game time. It's quite weird in the City camp right now. But one thing I won't do is take away Tottenham's tenacity to always do over City at their ground. It's been how many seasons in a row they just see, there we go. Like we can't take that away from Tottenham as well. Like City are not doing well. Pep is doing weird things, but Tottenham just got their number as well. Let's be real. Kane turned up today, got his goal, became record goal scorer. Do you know what I mean? So we gotta pay respect to Tottenham. God. Yeah, to Tottenham.
Are you tired, Sage? Are you
struggling,
mate? What's wrong with you?
I'm struggling. I don't really want to give Tottenham respect right now, but I have
It's fine,
to.
man. Don't worry.
And,
It's okay, man. I'm here for you. Don't worry. I've got
But
you, mate. I've got you.
overall, Pep is getting it wrong at the moment, and he is moving a bit arrogant. Like he should have just kept Cancelo and like do something to repair that situation, because defensively they don't look that great soundly, and attacking wise they just don't look the same City as the two previous seasons. So
Yeah.
Pep's
Do you
just
not,
got to
lad?
rethink a
I'm
couple
gonna make
things,
a
man.
prediction here. I don't think Pep's going to be a post. Forget that, obviously, this season. I don't think he's going to be here the season after next. I think Pep Ball is either he turns over that whole, gets the De Bruyne's out, he's doing it slowly, and then rebuilds again and keeps that Pep philosophy. But I think teams are sussing out how to play the beautiful game, how to play tiki-taka, the two defenders at the back from the goalie. Teams are sussing it out. And football cycles, just like everything in life. Football has its own cycle and evolution. And we saw that with Everton. Show Arsenal, they cut all the passing lanes. They got in your face and Arsenal struggled, yeah? The best passers of the Premier League, the best creative players of the Premier League in that team could not get past the Everton team that's been struggling because the philosophy couldn't be more opposing, and because it's so opposing, the philosophies, you can nullify it because of the fact that Arsenal aren't going to go long ball. They ain't going to stick it up long. They're going to keep doing that tiki-taka stuff that Man City do. And Everton want that because they're saying, yeah, this is what we're going to do. We're going to ruin the party. We're going to stink it out. And we did a little bit of that today in the first half against Man City. They started with that 20 minutes of tiki-taka Pep ball, and we just let them have it and said, as long as you don't go past pretty much the halfway line, you can do what you want. You can do kick-ups. You can do whatever you want. As soon as you get past the halfway line, we're nice, squeezed and compact, and then try and break us down. I saw Everton do that to Arsenal, and I feel like the Peps, the Artetas need to have a plan B. You can't keep just out-passing teams. You can't expect teams to just go, yeah. We know what we're going to get, but we're just going to sit back and let you do it. They're going to get stuck in, man. They're going to stop every way. They're going to go to war with you to stop you from playing football. And I just wonder if Pep, and I say this about Arteta as well because of that weekend result, some of these teams don't have a plan B. Does Klopp have a plan B? No. And I feel like a lot of these managers are going to have to go Jose and Conte at 60 minutes into the game. Change it up at the back. Change up the midfield, give them something different. Give them a different problem rather than the same tiki-taka sort of stuff. And that's what happened today. is we got that goal, and you have to get the goal to win these sort of games. You can't sit back and take it and not get the goal, because then what happens is they just wear you down. They get to that 70th and 80th minute, and mentally and physically you're worn down from chasing the ball. But what we did is we got that one lucky chance, because I think it was Rodri passed it into Lewis, was it? I think I can't remember.
Højbjerg intercepted.
Yeah, he rolled it in, and then Højbjerg nicked it, and boom, Harry Kane. Thank you very much. Daylight robbery, and then we just literally then after that we were picking them off, and we had a few chances. So I feel like the game's changing, and I feel like the Peps of this world in a couple of years, I think they're gonna have to change up their game. I'm not sure you can just keep doing the same thing year after year. Let's touch on Conte, lads. Let's run around the room. Rinks, starting with you, mate. What's your views on Conte? Where do you see Spurs finishing this season? I mean, we said earlier, top 4, in and around top 4. But do you look at Tottenham and do you see more to come? Or do you look at Spurs and think, this is it, this is the best it's going to get? I mean, how do you sum us up at the moment?
I'd say stick with him. I don't know what Tottenham's board's like in terms of if they're going to back him, if Levy's ever going to do that. But I'd stick with him. As Spurs fans, what should you expect? Do you know what I mean? Like, let's be honest. Like, should you be thinking you're going to win the league? I don't think so. Should you be thinking you're going to be runners up? I think it's like Champions League, top 4s. What Spurs fans, given your team, should be expecting, and like you're thereabouts. You're not 10 points off, are you? So, if you were doing what Liverpool were doing, then I think that's a different thing. You could say is Conte the right guy for you, blah blah blah. But yeah, I think for now you stick with him. You're not far off.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. He's a results man. He's a glass half full initially, and then he'll release the handbrake. He ain't gonna have them running out 100 miles per hour. He ain't gonna do a Jurgen Klopp and have him, rock and roll football. He's very pragmatic. He's Italian, and he's all about foundation and baseline. And he's the man that gets turned on by a draw. He's always said, if you ain't gonna win, don't lose. Whereas Arsenal fans, City fans are enjoying some of the best football of their lives. Liverpool fans, Spurs fans are sucking it up, man. We're sucking it up with Sonny. We're sucking it up with Kane, but we take it. As to your point, we take it because right now, if we don't get Champions League football, then Mr. Levy tends to close half the wallet on the basis of where we finish in or at the top 4. And that's just where we're at. We haven't got a Todd Bowley. We haven't got Saudi Arabian owners. The man works the business exactly like a normal business. All the ins and outs, the profit, the loss, the baseline. But Tottenham were the 4th highest net spending team in 2022. So he did put his hand in his pocket. VJ, when you look at Spurs and you look at Conte, how do you look at it, man? I mean, on par as to Rinks' comments, lucky to get top 4, should get top 4.
Yeah, I mean, I know Conte, right? As in, not me personally, but we know Conte from his time at Chelsea. 0 winner, knows how to win. I think he's the right guy for Spurs. I think if they keep doing what they're doing right now, they should get top 4. Yeah, I don't see why not. You got the right guy there. You should keep him.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. What was the reason he left Chelsea very quickly? Did he fall out with Roman like everyone does? Or Roman?
I think exactly that. Yeah, I think exactly that. There's probably some sort of falling. You never know these things, do you? We don't even know why Tuchel went. There was some sort of falling out, but I think there's just sort of a time where you sort of think, well, you've done your thing. You've won us a couple of cups. You ain't going to do it again. Move out of the way. We're going to bring someone else in that's more, firing and ready to go. A bit like Klopp, right? We all saying he's running out of steam. He's sort of done it, isn't he? How can you keep repeating that? And I think Chelsea just sort of switched managers around. Even Mourinho's come back twice, hasn't he? He's won it, but he's still moved on twice. So I just think this just the way it is.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens because the fans are on the board's back. Half the fans split, I can tell you, on Conte's football. A lot of Tottenham fans hate watching this 3 at the back, counter-attacking football. But at the same time, we haven't had a fully fit first 11 since today in a long time. I'm talking months. We've just always had Kulusevski out, or someone's always been out with this Romero, like a key player. We've had key players out. And I think Spurs, when we look at the fixture list, they've got a really nice running, guys. If you're into your fantasy football, stick a couple of Spurs players in there, man. We've got some real, like, not mid-table, but lower table teams at the moment. So a really good shout to get some Spurs players in there. G, are Spurs going to finish above United, or United going to finish above Spurs, man?
I think United will pip Spurs, but I think I agree with the whole Conte situation. You're not going to get better than Conte. The shame is that Spurs fans are happy with a top 4 or a top 6 sort of finish. I think if you're genuinely, comparing to Liverpool or Man United or even Newcastle, Man City, Arsenal, the thinking is different, right? Regardless of the money's being spent. You bought in Richarlison, you bought in these sort of players, and genuinely you should be expecting more. Today, 68% of possession was sitting with Man City, and you hit them on the sort of 32% possession stat. Reality is, on a cup game, that's fine. You can't play like that, for 38 games a season and expect to win, the 3 points every time and get the lead. So, yeah, I think you're going to get 4th, just possibly you get 5th if Newcastle still hold their form, but overall, I think Spurs should have higher expectations, and that requires a mindset shift. It's not Conte. Conte's a winner. It's the rest of the club that needs to come with it.
Yeah, the thing is, to invest the money, you need to get the money in. So Spurs fans will also argue that it's a project, a commercial project, as well as a football project. The stadium's now fully functional. We've got Beyonce coming in. We've got all these like artists coming in, NFL, obviously. So I'm hoping, as a Spurs fan, for the first time, I can look ahead with some optimism from a financial point in terms of spending. We spent well in the summer. We bought in some good players. Perisic was a good signing. Experience. We don't buy experienced players. We buy young players. We buy projects. We keep buying players that no one's heard of. Like Danny Rose said, you have to Google half these players. But we finally have a financial machine backing in the stadium I'm talking about. We finally have something that's given us money. Do you know what I mean? So it's just hopefully this money, A, comes in, which it is, and B, gets spent on the team, not in Levy's other ways. If he's got certain other projects going on, great, mate. Building cinemas, building apartments, building leisure parks, building theme parks. If you're going to do that, do it whilst you simultaneously invest on the pitch, because football fans will not just wait there and watch everything get built and go, what's going on with the team? So I think Levy's got to balance his investments, and hopefully there's been a lot of Levy out. There's been a lot of Levy out. I've never seen Levy out this strong in my whole entire Spurs. Well, at least under Levy's tenure, which is 22 years now, nearly. I've never seen Levy out banged out in stadiums. I've never seen it on Twitter so strong, on Instagram, everywhere. Levy out is trending. And I just wonder if that is going to push Tottenham this summer to match the Chelseas, like you said, or the Uniteds, and spend 200 million, not 130 million, and actually give us the couple of centre-backs we're looking for, give us an attacking midfielder, bring in whatever we need for the bench, etc. So we'll see what happens with Tottenham. Sage, before we finish off, man, as a Arsenal fan, do you fear what's going on at Tottenham? Do you think there's something pretty happening there behind the scenes with the stadium, with the summer transfer window? We just brought in, obviously, 2 players, Danjuma and Pedro Porro, on the last day. That was painful. It took about a week to sign that bloke. Do you look at Spurs now and think, do you know what? The arrow's pointing up? Or do you see Spurs just flirting with top 4 for the next few years and that's it?
Do you want my unbiased opinion or biased opinion?
Honest opinion.
Honest opinion. I do feel like Conte will bring you guys to win something in the future. I think you should stick with him. Those 2 signings are going to be crucial for you guys, I reckon, as well. Brings a little bit more depth for you. Because I'm not sure. You know what, Josh? Let me ask you a quick question before we head off. What is Conte's problem with what's that young boy, Spence? What's the deal with Spence?
Good question, lads. It's a good question. He went off to Rennes or whatever they're called in the French league. They're 5th in the French league, so they're not a joke club, They don't have 14th, 15th, And he put in an assist, put in a couple of dribbles, had an amazing first half, right? And he's on loan there right now, as of last week. I'm looking at him, and I'm thinking, Conte, you sent him out you signed it off because he didn't even want to play him. He played him for like
Yeah.
5 minutes, end of games, like embarrassment, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Emerson lacking attacking. Defending, Emerson, okay. He's a right back, not a right wing back. Doherty is just, honestly, Doherty is like not great going forward, not great going back. He's just salt and pepper, man. There's not a lot going on over there. And then we're left with Spence, right? Attacking guy, absolutely ripped a couple of Premier League teams the season before with Nottingham Forest. I think Arsenal he had a good game against, I remember, in the League Cup or whichever it was. So we're all saying, put this guy on. It doesn't matter if we lose the game. We just want to see what he can do as a young player. Like Liverpool have put Elliott on and Man City have put Lewis on. He's our young thing. Do you know what I mean? He's the young, shining light bright. Conte didn't do it. And the reason a lot of Tottenham fans say he didn't do it is to say to the board, I don't want these youngsters. I want Perisic's. I want Romero's. I want Pedro Porro's. I don't want these young
Many players.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
Just stick them in the academy. I'll stick them on loan. I'm not here to coach. I'm not Arteta. I am the real deal. I am Mr. Chelsea Premier League, FA Cup, 5 Serie A's, Juve, Inter Milan, straight bang in. Like VJ said, in and out. Thank you very much. I don't want these young players. I'm not an academy coach, and he's not into that. Now, I will give him a little bit of credit for Pape Sarr, who's a midfielder. You guys might not have heard of him, but we bought him.
Good.
Yeah, we bought him along with Spence in that window, and he's turned Pape Sarr into a bit of a baller because what happened is when we all went to the World Cup, the players that were left behind at the Spurs lodge, he was training them. So he improved Hill and he improved Pape Sarr, but for some reason, Spence didn't get a run out. Now, Spence has got attitude problems from the past. He has kicked off and he said a few things about his old manager. I think Neil Warnock at Sheffield or whatever it was. He said a few things. So I don't know if Conte looks at a player and says, you could be shit hot, you could be amazing, but if you've got an ego or you're not going to listen like a student of the game, then I'm done with you. I think he just makes his mind up on players like that. I don't think he even wants to give him a chance. And I wonder if his kind of language style, Spence, and maybe his I'm shit hot, just start me, has not gone down so well in Tottenham behind the scenes. Whereas the Pape Sarrs want to learn and the Brian Hills will run through brick walls for you. I think Spence is coming in and he's kind of like, he knows he's good. And Dele Alli had that. Dele Alli had that as well. Tanguy and Ndombele had that. And these Jose Mourinho's of this world, Conte's of this world, you know what I mean? They're looking for characters. They're looking for leaders, not just talent. So we'll see what happens with him, man. As to your point. Lads, it's been 2.5 hours, man. You lot must be dying of sleep deprivation.
We got work to do tomorrow morning.
You got work in the morning. I just want to say thanks to everyone, man. Like it's gone on for more than an hour, man. I don't know how we're going to do this in an hour next week. I'm going to have to find a way
start earlier.
Start earlier, but I mean, we could start earlier. That's a good point. We could start earlier, or I don't know, man. Maybe we just put timers on or something. I don't know what we need to do, but Rinks, I appreciate you coming in, mate. And holding up the LFC badge, proud. Thank you very much, mate. You're welcome anytime on here. VJ, as always, mate, resident. He's like that resident DJ that never lets you down on a Friday night. He's gonna bang out the tunes. You know you're gonna have a good time. He's gonna play what you want. G, Mr. Man United with always with the knowledge and the facts and everything, mate. I don't know where you get time to watch this much football, mate. I know you've got kids and that.
Obviously, I don't do anything for a living, do I, Josh?
Yeah, I know. I speak to you personally as well, but I mean, I don't know where you get time, mate. I don't know where all of you get time. I know Rinks as well. Rinks has got a semi-professional daughter in football, man, without saying too much. So he's training her. Yeah, Rinks, you're a coach, man. He's coach. He's hang
on. Hey, Todd, listen, we got another one on the radar.
Listen, I want commission out of that, mate. I'll text you that. But he's like pretty much more or less a coach, aren't you, Rinks? So I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like you guys have got a lot of football knowledge, man, considering you got kids and that. But you guys probably do what most people do, man. When you got to spare 5 minutes, you refresh that little Sky Sports feed, that Daily Mail feed, whatever feed you've got on your phone, and you just see what's going on in football, man. And it's like a drug. And I don't think people understand it. This is why I call the channel Footy Fanatics, because it is a bit fanatical. Like we all love the same thing. And I love reading about other clubs. And I don't know about you guys, but I couldn't just read about Spurs all day. I don't know about you guys. I'm always seeing what Liverpool's doing, what Chelsea's doing. You know what I mean? So, like, it's good to get you guys in a room, man. And it's
all
good
good,
you
man.
You know, you guys know a lot about other clubs, and I really appreciate that knowledge, man. Rather than just bringing that kind of one club view. I don't know what happened to Hatch, man. He's I don't know what happened to Hatch.
He just fell asleep.
I think he called it. Yeah, I think slow mo. He went. And Sage, man, debut today. Thank you very much for coming on, mate. Again, you're welcome anytime. And also, anyone who's watching this at this time, or anyone who watches this on the actual uploaded video, give us a like, give us a share, leave us a comment. We're building this up. We're going to get more guests in. We're going to get more topics involved. Lots of different things going on. And the plan is in the future to have a little mini studio and get everyone on a nice little sofa, get some food going, and have like a
and maybe even get in some players in to have a chat, some ex-players and stuff. I mean, you know, Josh and I
can make it happen.
Links, man. I think that's
that's
the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, man. The thing is, like, I think this season's going to be a season where a lot of therapy is going to be needed.
Just mainly for Spurs supporters.
Well, all of us, because like it's just there's no runaway team. I mean, Arsenal are back in this first thing again. Liverpool and Chelsea just can't seem to kind of like they keep, you know, they're together down there trying to hit that top 4 mark. We're hanging on to 4th. United, you know, you're flirting with that title race, and it's just it couldn't be more spread. It couldn't be more spread, lads, man. So yeah, wicked season, man. But listen, lads, thanks a lot. And I'll shout you for the next one, episode 4 that will be. And do share this with friends and family. Peace out, love, unity, and see you on the next one. Cheers, lads.
See you guys. Bye bye.
Okay, now. Good night, man.